السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 32. 33. That was on purpose.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Maulana Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, good. Yourself?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Alhamdulillah.
Lata, how are you, brother?
I'm good, bro, but I can't see you. Like,
I know.
I've got to imagine your face, even though you're right next to me.
But can't you see the noor like going
Mashallah.
past the...
Sorry, I I should.
Yeah, that's just the lights.
That's what
the studio lights. Reflecting on your glasses.
That's true. We do need to adjust this a little bit.
Yeah.
We need to be able to see. Like, now I can see you little bits. I can see your eyes and your shiny pearly whites. And Maulana,
We're out of lockdown,
I can see.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, man.
but we
go.
have to hold our breath
For what?
because I was speaking to a brother from Maulana Sheikh from London, and he said they're talking about
Yeah.
a lockdown again
Yeah, subhanallah.
Lockdown where?
in
London.
UK. It's a lockdown because they
Yeah, but they didn't reach. Did they reach the vaccination rates that we had reached?
Yeah. They're ahead of us actually. But the thing, it's not that. It's and it's all unvaccinated that are they're filling up the ICUs mainly, but
Okay.
it's not that. It's just that booster shot thing. Now they're saying that full vaccinated probably means 3 vaccinations instead of 2 vaccinations. It's ridiculous, but it's painfully. I mean, it's ridiculous because it's just like nobody knows. It keeps changing every few months. You know.
What would you guys do if they change, if it eventually graduated into say the flu shot where you got to take it every year?
Or every 6 months.
What are we
months.
going to do?
I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, we've got no choice. We have to go whatever is best available. Now, I
I'm
think
at the stage.
Pfizer's made a tablet as well. they're doing all right.
I'm at the
They're the only
stage-
ones doing all right.
I'm at the stage. Roll the dice. The chips fall where they may.
Yeah, like whatever.
I'm over it.
If that's, I'll ask my doctor and whatever the doctor advises, and Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah. And I'll
Yeah.
Yeah,
move
no,
on.
but even though with the third shot, and then there'll be a fourth shot, then there'll be a fifth shot.
By 2050, if we live that long enough, we'll have like
bro, I want
our
to blood,
annual COVID shot.
my blood. It won't be red blood cells anymore. It'll just be COVID vaccine running through my body.
Yeah, what can we do?
Right. But the thing is, instead of that, why not just not vaccinate at all and just do whatever happens? See what happens.
Good luck to your job, travel, and everything else. So,
No, I'm not talking about individually.
okay.
I'm talking about on just say Australia decides, you know what, we don't care about COVID anymore.
It won't work because the vaccine is
So what
the
I'm
vaccine
talking
is
about-
effective. Number one, it is stopping hospitalizations, all that sort of stuff. The main people that are now in hospitals mainly are unvaccinated, and it's frustrating the nurses and doctors
that's
because
right.
they're getting
They're over
frustrated
it.
with these people who they talk about nonsense about freedom and all that sort of stuff, and they don't get any they're talking about all that stuff, but when they're the ones filling up the hospital. So you can't have your cake and eat it. So
No, I've heard
rip
that as
rip
well.
off the Band-Aid,
The
move on
emergency
with
de-
life,
Imagine,
get everything done with. Unfortunately, this is the best we have at the moment. But alhamdulillah, for the moment, masjid are full. We're praying shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, how good is that?
The
How good
unvaccinated
is
are treated. The unvaccinated are treated like lepers. They can't come near us.
But how good is that to go into the masjid now and you can stand next to the brother next to you? Bring on those Ramadan
There's
biryani
still
bits.
hesitancy. I had to tell the brothers in Jummah. I said,
What?
brothers, like you can
Come closer.
because I said, I know Dan Andrews done very good tarbiyah and it's like he's drill. You know, they've the social distance is like really effective, but I noticed they were just like a very spaced out. It wasn't like back to normal.
Subhanallah.
People
No,
become
no,
accustomed to.
We're not on my mosque.
well, it is
Yeah.
a habit.
Actually,
too,
my
though.
mosque social distance, yeah.
I just noticed it in. I mean, Doncaster people are more sensible and
But if you're doing something
did you
for
hear what he
almost
just ripped
2
out?
years,
we're very compliant.
he's
Citizens.
putting Doncaster up there, yeah.
He's putting Doncaster up there again.
You know, with each person thinks about himself, he's very careful about his personal space and yeah.
He's just opened up so many doors.
Yeah.
So many
No,
doors.
no. Look,
it's-
but I
it's
just
the
had
first
to
time
say
back in
it. I
ages.
had to say it, and then unfortunately, the rule is to only vaccinated. If you have not vaccinated, then you can have 50. If you're vaccinated, you can have more than 50. So we sort of we're limited. We can't take, the cases are still high. We can't take any risks. But it's just nice to see the community sort of normal. But
That's one
but
thing
I
that
think we
was
have to
nice,
hold our
mashallah.
breath because when the brother told me today, then I was like very excited. Oh, everything's going back to normal. And when he sent me the message, we were just talking about something else. And I said, alhamdulillah, everything's open now, this, that. He said, we're just about to go into winter and there's discussions by the government now of another lockdown.
Yeah, but the difference is as well between Australia and the UK, their population density is much higher. Like if Australia, for example, if Victoria, we've got enough protests as it is. If Victoria goes into lockdown again after all of this, we're going to have anarchy.
I won't have anarchy. Most people are compliant. There's a few.
Yeah, but the ones that aren't compliant are
I
not
think
quite.
A couple of thousand. If you go to the
I don't think it's a couple of thousand, because at the last protest there was at least 120,000 people.
Yeah, that's still a very small percentage of the overall population.
But that's just the people that actually went out in person. There are a lot of people at home as well
that believe in
lazy
it.
protest.
Yeah.
Good power job to the people in their lounge room. the couch potatoes didn't go. Yeah.
Did you go?
Huh? Like it's pointless. I don't think it's what can you do? Like they can argue that point.
You know what? Let's move on from COVID. I'm over it.
Yeah.
We'll
get back to it a little bit later.
I'm so over it.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it so many times.
I reckon herd immunity. Let it go. See what happens.
I had my exams, which I smashed. Alhamdulillah, I was very happy with.
Here we go. Oh, how did your exams go? Did you go well in your exams?
I did well. I smashed it. Like
Did you really? Or you just?
You've 1 hour, half an hour before the exam. This is like someone's dua is getting accepted for me. You flick through. Wallahi, I said I'll just flick through some random pages.
Next minute, his teacher listens to this and retests him next week.
Inshallah, no, they're overseas.
Is that
and
so?
I just
He's been cheating if you're listening.
I flicked through. I said, let me just, it's Islamic, it's fiqh books, right?
Yeah.
I said, I'll just flick through some random pages after what I'm supposed to read before, and just check the words and stuff, make sure I understand the fiqh, the rulings. It's in Arabic. And
were you okay? Or did you need to call me?
And those, those lifelines that don't know the answer.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it is. I flicked through it, read a few pages. All of those pages are an exam.
Oh,
it's like you've hit the jackpot. Like
Yeah.
I know this. I just done this. I read this like half an hour ago. This is so it was beautiful. That was only one exam, but alhamdulillah, there were good essays and presentations and
all in Arabic or English?
No. The presentations are in English, but you're explaining Arabic texts, and the exams you have to read in Arabic texts and so forth. So it's really good. Alhamdulillah. It was like that's one thing. Then another test, of course, is my son is doing his L's. He's over 18, but hasn't got his car license yet. And I remember I had flashbacks of my father trying to teach me how to drive, holding the dashboard.
Oh, really?
He's gonna have a heart attack.
Were you that bad?
Isn't all L drivers starting?
Yeah,
bro.
But I'm getting now punished with my son for like I'm getting the revenge taken from me because like two things which I can't stand, which is braking late. Like wait, right? Because the brakes are very soft.
Yeah.
I said,
remember these things when he's in the car with you. And what was the second one?
The brakes are very soft. And I said, yeah. So brake further away, so you get by the time you get there, you don't have to like slam the brake, and I'm like falling forward. I said, you'll fail if you do this. And the second one was like we're entering a freeway or something, and it's 110, like on the country or whatever, and slamming the accelerator to get up to the speed.
Yeah.
And like a takeoff. And
he's 18. He's allowed to slam the accelerator to take
I'm
off.
I'm under the speed limit.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, well, technically, yeah. I said, but you're not going to, because you're studying now to pass the test of the examiner. If you do this, you're not going to pass. He's not going to pass you. So you make sure now, after do whatever you want. Like,
how did you learn to drive, Lata? When did you learn to drive?
I didn't do any driving instructions or anything. I was a bit of a rebel growing up.
No.
Yeah. My mum, she bought a new car and I took it for a spin.
With us, we used to have a van.
And I used to do it like every day during this time frame where I know my mum wouldn't be paying attention. And it was like a 45-minute window. So every day I would just practice. And then one day I went on the road. I didn't have my L's or P's, and that's how I learned.
Yeah, my dad had a van with bench seats at the front. So we all took it in turns. You'd sit in the middle, and we started off by steering first, and then by changing gears because it was column shift.
Or like in park or?
No, as we're driving.
Oh, okay.
Because it was column shift, so you'd steer as we're driving, like on the highway or wherever.
Okay.
Dad would just kick back and we'd be steering. And then we graduated to gears, and then from the gears we graduated to the clutch.
Yeah.
So when it came time to drive, I remember passing.
So you learned how to drive manual first.
I was like 11 years old.
MashaAllah.
Right? I was literally, I was like,
your dad's in trouble. We doing this is just entertainment purposes.
yes,
Do
this is not real. We're just making stuff
This is
up.
a recollection of a dream.
Yes,
Well,
I had a
once
dream.
had.
And then the day I got my L's, it was literally just bang, jump in the car. It was an automatic and just drive straight, normal.
Yeah.
Actually, I was driving slow. I got told off by my dad for driving too slow.
Oh wow.
On the day I got my L's. Why are you driving so slow for? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's
Right?
that's
So,
the opposite.
and then, well, what about, mine's what, 15, but, you know, he's taken the car for a spin a few times.
What was the car that you learned how to drive in?
It was a Nissan Datsun C20.
I learned in a Nissan Bluebird.
Oh,
Do you remember the station wagon?
Right, if you still had that, that'd be worth a packet. Right?
Yeah, I saw in the line. They are. It was it was an amazing little station wagon.
Mine was an auto Suzuki Swift, like an old school one. And then my two cousins, Anwar and Samir, taught me how to drive manual when I was 23.
23.
Yeah. So
Yeah, same year. I was about 21.
What, to drive manual?
Yeah, I bought because my first cars were automatic.
yeah,
I never.
same.
My dad didn't drive a manual. Oh, he did drive
Wow.
manual. Then 21, I bought a manual, and that was my. So then I had to learn,
I think
figure it out.
I bought
Honda Civic.
I bought a manual car at the age of, was probably about 30. I mean, an automatic car.
Oh, so that's wow.
So,
So you went the other way around.
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
been manuals my whole life.
Yeah. It makes sense, like in the long, like
It's very important.
to do manual first, because then you automatically have a manual license without having to wait and get your full license, like I did. And then you've got your manual license. I don't know if that's still a thing now.
Having a manual license.
Yeah, like when you're going for your
with the
Ps.
cars nowadays, are there manual cars available to even? But can you buy a manual car? I know you can buy manual four-wheel drives.
Yeah, four drives. I haven't
Right.
seen other.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like sporty cars, like
But they're,
if you're
but
going to
they're
buy
like Tiptronic,
Yeah.
automatic type.
Yeah,
but,
those
but
Asian
you know which
cars.
ones? You know which cars are awesome?
Vietnamese
As,
driver.
you know which cars are awesome as manuals? I love Corollas as manuals.
Corollas.
Yeah, bro. The way you can take a corner in, like just drop it down a gear, and then as you're accelerating out, boom, flick. bang.
They're rally cars, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So
Like
makes
Corolla
sense.
manuals are sick, man.
Mm.
That's one car that I love. That's
what were
one-
the Asian cars?
What
Like
do you mean?
Hondas, Asian
Oh,
guys.
Toyota Supra.
No. Oh yeah.
Toyota
yeah,
Supra.
Like Toyota
This
Supra.
an R34. Now that's a
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, the Asians are famous for driving certain like a
Supras,
Uni and
Supras.
stuff.
Yeah, Supras.
Yeah, yeah.
Supras
It was
and,
Supras.
and Nissan Skylines.
Yeah, Skylines and Sylvias.
We used to have a joke at uni, like
Yeah.
they have a there's like 4 Asians that they don't have a house, they live in the car. They have a rice cooker plugged in a cigarette lighter.
Oh, this is so racist.
You're just
no,
cut
we-
because the guy was richer than you and you
Yeah,
could afford a Supra.
probably, yeah.
Supra. Meanwhile, you're catching
But
the
there was
bus.
all these like stereotypes of like who drives these little cars, these zippy little cars.
Yeah.
Nah,
but when they
I'm
start-
a Corolla guy. I love Corolla.
When they started to come here, like to Australia, I remember.
wait, where are we going with this?
No, not the cars. The cars. When the cars started, the cars started getting imported to Australia, they were like, and they came and took our jobs. They
and drove up housing prices.
yeah. No. When the cars came to Australia, I remember like that Australians were into like the VLs, the Fords, and
Yeah.
Right,
Commodore-
old school muscle cars are cool as well.
yeah. But then like the Asians, like they were famous at uni anyway. When I was growing up, they were famous for driving these little like turbo super. Like they used to drive all these like unusual.
Yeah.
But they were fancy cars, but they were sort of like generally the ethnics, whatever, they just look down. That's like an Asian thing, you know. But now everybody's driving them. Like
I've got a mate that's
yeah.
got 3 Valiants in his garage that he's slowly doing
wow.
up with a Tirana. Now, he's got everything for it. He just hasn't had time to do it up. Now, imagine what's sitting in that garage.
yeah.
I won't give the address because probably
yeah.
not the best idea.
Why would you give the address? just give it out there. Yeah, by the way, this is where he lives.
Lata Khalid's address is... Please visit him in the middle of the night. That's when he loves it the
I'm
most.
curious, like how the L or testing for that would change if you use electric cars.
Difference.
Would there be any difference?
No, there's no difference because you're still driving. It's not like Google's doing the test.
Yeah, I mean,
What happens if
Are you talking about? You're not talking about
self-driving?
Yeah, but self-drive. What are you going to take the
it's still a
self-driving
steering
car
wheel,
for
still
LTS?
accelerate, it's still
Yeah,
accelerate brake.
everything's
and
still the same.
It'll be the same thing. Yeah, the amount of cars coming out this year, or next 2022,
electric cars.
electric cars.
Yeah.
Put Tesla aside. The big one, the one that I love. I know it's dunya and whatever, and the sheikh's corrupted by love of dunya.
We know that. We've known that from
They
ages
know this
ago.
already. But that Rivian, what's it called? Rivian something. Anyway, the Rivian is a brand name,
Yeah.
and we had an IPO for like 80 billion or something. But that car, that truck, they call it a truck in America. What do we call it? It's like a Ute.
Ute. We call it a Ute.
But is it really a Ute? Like Ute was like just a normal Ford cut with a.
Yeah, but the name's morphed.
Now has changed to like what? What we call it?
Cybertruck?
No,
That's
no,
what
no,
Tesla's
no.
calling
What's a Ute now? What do you think a Ute is?
SUV. No, it depends what we're talking about. We're talking about a four-wheel drive, or are we talking about like your old school Holden Ford Utes? You can't get them anymore.
A Ute, yeah, you can't. They don't make them anymore.
For me, a Ute would be front-wheel drive, and a truck would be all-wheel drive.
No. A Ute was the thing with the tray at the back.
Front looks like a, yeah.
Now they're four-wheel drives.
They both have trays.
That's actually what a Ute is.
Yeah.
Like Australian Ute. But now what they've done is extended the definition to
four-wheel
like
drives.
not four-wheel drives.
With all the tradies, man.
No. Yeah, the tradies, but they're not. It's not four-wheel drives. It's what do you call it?
What is it? Please tell us.
Navara.
A dual cab.
The Juke. Yeah, that's
But
become
that's
a Ute.
still a four-wheel drive.
It's a Ute. They call it Ute now. It's coming like
Well, it is a Ute because a Ute is something
just-
with a tray on the back.
Which just it's
Yeah, but
it's
we
just
know
It's
what
a
a Ute-
utility vehicle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's just a shortened.
Yeah, but it's not really the Ute that we grew up with.
No, the
Yeah.
Utes we grew up with were old school Holdens, Fords. You know,
With a
they're
tray,
competing
like
each
with
other
a-
with
with
a
a-
massive tray at the back.
Yeah, this is and it had a
it's
sporty.
low and it's not high. It's
Young
lower.
people liked it. Young tradies rode it, and it was
And
like
they're more sporty.
it was sporty, like a
Yeah,
sporty.
but it wasn't
But the
very-
new ones are higher up ones. They're like four-wheel drive, high and whatever.
Yeah.
They're also now being called Utes
Well,
as
they
well.
are Utes because that's just morphed into.
No.
that. Here we go.
Anyway,
I'm right, and you just.
so anyway, Rivian is making this quote unquote utility. What do they call truck? The American definition of a truck. They call it trucks.
Yeah.
Which is what we call here now utility.
Utes.
Utes slash.
Four-wheel
I
drives.
can't say it. I can't do it.
I just call them
But
dual cabs.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I sent a video to Abdul Wajid.
You know that company has. I mean, look, their product is really nice.
Yeah.
But they haven't produced anything. They've been.
What do you mean?
just like
We saw the truck today.
no, but actual production. It's been so.
It's like starting now, like literally this
Yeah,
month.
but have they got
they've-
factories developed?
They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
But they only just become public.
Yeah, they're about to come into Australia in 2022.
Yeah, but they've been around for a long time. They've been around
Yeah, but it doesn't- but
roughly
they such-
maybe I think like a couple of years ahead of Tesla.
But cars are like not easy products to bring to the market because they're so
Are
complicated.
you Are you getting a free Rivian or something like
No,
that?
no,
Just
I'm just
wait.
saying.
He just wants it to
He's
happen.
going hard, man.
This podcast is sponsored
Sponsor
by
us.
Rivian.
And the Sheikh is driving a Rivian from today onwards.
No, but they're very complicated piece of machinery. It takes
Yeah.
a long time. If you look at like even just building the factory, what's involved in just building one factory, like Faraday Future. It's another company, ex-Tesla employees.
Yeah.
They went and started another car company from 5-6 years. Like they've actually now, like literally, like as of like I think like last 48 hours, they already had the IPO and all that sort of stuff, and now they actually production has started. Like I think it's starting.
What does
any
this
day.
mean for Tesla?
It's competition.
It's a good thing.
The best one, the most logical one that will kill Tesla is the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is
Not-
their electric. No, but it's the most popular electric truck in the US now.
Okay, but if you compare the orders for the Cybertruck, right, the actual orders, physical orders, if they go through, it will be the number one selling vehicle in the whole world. Just on the orders alone.
Have a look at the stats on what's the most popular.
No, it will be popular
But
because people
the
are buying
Cybertruck's
it.
not
The
out
Cybertruck's not out
Sorry?
yet.
Neither. Well, the other ones that, and there's a question mark on that as well. How much what Tesla can deliver with the Cybertruck?
Well, it's genius because when like if you look at the panels, right, there are
It's
no
genius. They don't have a car yet.
no there are no shapes. So all you have to do
It's
is,
an ugly-
is literally
ugly-
stamp it. I mean,
Yeah, it's ugly.
beauty is in the eye.
Ugly,
the eye of the beholder.
futuristic.
I
Yeah.
personally think it's a beautiful looking car. You know, because it just
Yeah.
just shouts at you like
Yeah. I reckon the Rivian is much more nicer looking. Someone said it. I was listening to one of the podcasts or one of the shows. He said it's like a car from 50 years ago and from 50 years in the future. It's like they're combined into
But
one.
it still looks like a truck.
It's
You know what
better
I
than
mean?
the Cybertruck.
But the Cybertruck looks like
Nah,
something
the
else.
Cybertruck
No,
looks like you're going to Mars.
Yeah.
The specs on the Rivians are better. Is better, and it's going to hit Australian market
But the
very
Cybertruck
soon.
looks like you're going to
I
Mars.
don't know.
And the cost and the
Cyber versus Rivian.
Rivian's a very small company,
Yeah.
but the thing is that it's their first vehicle, right? But
Yeah.
they got $80 billion, Amazon backing, So
Of course, they're
Of
backed
course,
by Amazon.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Jeff Bezos getting into everything.
yeah,
mate.
yeah. So
I think I'm just
the guy owns only 1% of it. Like he's a billionaire already. He's just become a billionaire.
Yeah.
So he's an engineer. So he's made his money. But it is a beautiful vehicle because I've watched all these different trucks
Yeah.
and the videos. It's so nice,
Yeah.
so cleverly. The Faraday Futures one, it's got 11 screens. It's very fancy. Their whole thing is an AI experience.
Mm.
It's like being inside a smartphone. Like it's like
You are way too much of a tech head.
it's taken the Tesla and like because they're Tesla people, so they're the ones that design Tesla, like
Yeah.
the Tesla cars.
Yeah.
So they know Tesla
just
back
put
to
it on
front. They know how to
steroids.
make it. Yeah, they know how to make it better than Tesla. So they've taken Tesla's thing idea and they're taking it to the next level. Like it's a whole. It's not even a car. It's like they've made
100%, bro. You're getting paid by Rivian.
Yeah.
After this podcast,
Are we going to get Rivians?
I'm keeping an eye on what car he's going to be driving.
Yeah. If he rolls in a Rivian,
I can't afford a petrol, leaded petrol cars, let alone a thing. But subhanallah.
It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time in the world right now, with everything.
Yeah.
And there's life goes on.
Yeah, exactly.
Things are coming up. Everything's coming up. COVID can come. COVID, you still got to eat. Still got to work. Still got to pray.
The climate can
Just
get
get
hotter,
on
it can
with
get
it.
colder. It can change. The world goes. We have ice ages, then warm ups, and then ice ages and warm
Where
ups.
he's going with this is about climate change.
I accept that climate changes.
Yeah.
Do you accept that it's real?
Of course.
Lata, do you
It's hot
accept
today.
that it's real?
yes,
It's
I
hotter
do.
today than
but,
yesterday.
but probably not in
do
the
you guys
narrative
accept
that you
that we
understand it.
do you, okay, here we go. All right, tell me.
Yeah, so I accept, climate change, global warming, all that stuff, but not that we're somehow causing it.
What about the island of Tuvalu? What about these Polynesian islands that are going underwater?
I mean, the world's a lot older than I am, so I don't know.
Well, it is.
You know what its habits are. What
Apparently,
what its cycles are.
most of these scientists they're saying that, and the majority of scientists are saying that it's man. This is the issue, man-made. All right.
Well, it is man-made.
What the global warming?
Global warming, yeah. Most of the scientists are saying this, all right?
Yeah.
So let's accept that the scientists are telling us the truth. They don't have an interest in like keeping their jobs for long term, scaring the world.
Well, you could use that exact same argument for pandemic.
We'll leave pandemic aside. Let's talk about
Okay,
climate.
go. Keep going.
So these climate scientists, they have university jobs and in think tanks.
They
and
don't want to lose their jobs.
yeah, and so the more are they sincere in they want to like keep the panic, people have panic, governments have to invest in all these think tanks and these people and so forth. Let's put that aside.
Now you're talking about like this massive conspiracy.
No,
theory
it's not
around the
conspiracy.
world.
I'm just saying, like, is it how it's fine. So if we accept it that all these scientists are telling you the truth, it's okay. This is a general view that it is man-made. Is Khalid Shah, is Abdul Wajid doing something, putting the plastic in when we're finding the plastic in the recycle bin, is not exactly getting recycled.
Yeah.
Is me driving an electric car, as an example, if I can afford it?
It all comes around now.
Huh?
Back to the Rivian.
Is that make because I like the Rivian because I like the technology.
Yeah.
I don't care about the air coming out of it. It doesn't bother me.
You're not doing it for the climate.
Because those factories with the smoke coming out, for me, those big industries that they are making, they're the ones polluting the world. They're the ones doing it. So unless you regulate them,
Well, that's what they're trying to
But
do.
okay,
I'll get with the
countries
car.
aren't
I'll
signing
get
up
with the
with it.
car. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll get with the car in a city You reduce, like Delhi, for example.
That was used to be nightmare.
It still is. It was on the news today that people are getting cancer and so forth because the air is so polluted. So yeah, in a city, there's laws being made now in Europe for cities to reduce the city pollution. City pollution is a different thing to quote unquote global warming, right?
Well,
so
it
I
all
get it
adds
for
up.
having healthy air, cancer-free, things that might cause cancer and so forth. That makes sense. Like to have less polluted air, that I'm not breathing the fumes from a car.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
As for the overall, like, saving the world, quote unquote, you know, like I'm not the one that's. I'm a very, very, you know, yeah, I would do my recycling and stuff. But at the end of the day,
Look, I'm not a climate activist where I'm going to go protest and things like that. But I do believe that on an individual level, everything every human does make a difference.
not very little. Individuals make very little. Big industry.
Individuals don't make very little, because when you have a collection of individuals, that can make a difference.
Individuals different. Individual factories is a different story. Massive scale operations that are happening. Car factories, as an example, electric car factories, making batteries. The amount of mining that has to be done to get batteries, lithium, all that sort of stuff.
So go back to horse and cart.
Rare earth minerals. If you actually put the cost of things that are made, even computers or cameras or whatever, the amount of pollution that is produced, or even like mining, crypto, it's so energy intensive, like these industries, that am I, who like lives in my little place or whatever, is my footprint that big?
But if the whole world thought about that, if that factory leader thought about that as well.
If the average human beings...
If somebody in charge of a factory goes, it's one factory, what am I going to do compared to all the rest of the
Let me put something in perspective. Your whole life emissions, pollution, right? Not that. A very large amount of people will not equal to the one rocket that's sent to give you Foxtel or whatever, you know, like the one satellite. The emission. No, what are you talking about? The rocket, the amount of fuel that is burned.
Yeah.
Your whole life's, apparently one person's whole life's emissions do not equal to that one rocket blast.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's on because you're using like high, like the burn, like it's just a rocket, man. They're taking hundreds of tons up into space. So the point being is, and they're sending rockets every week.
Don't go to Mars?
Huh?
You're telling me not to go to Mars?
Well, that's a separate issue.
So Malala, your view is, I mean, to sum it up, it's basically like, you know, me, little, you know, Malana, I'm not going to do much of a difference. Yes.
I'm not going to stress out about it.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed about it. It's not a religion for me, because some people have made it like a religion.
It really is.
You know, saving Mother Earth, blah, 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 all that stuff. What's that? Greta
Thunberg.
I
you
really
know,
don't like that person.
Yeah. She's just an anal, like she's anal, like in the way she, it's a word, man, for God's sake.
The way she, I get what you're
it's
saying,
arrogant. It's
very arrogant. She comes across.
Yeah. So, you know, nothing's going to happen. Like, what did there was Bill Maher, his show, like this last week, he said something to the, he said, Greta Thunberg or whatever, like, he was saying good things, but you got like 50,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
One of the Jenner family like got 2-3 million. You cannot preach to the baby boomers and previous generation X, whatever. You cannot preach them sustainability and whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, Mr. Beast gives 50 cars to one guy.
Yeah.
You know, he goes, this doesn't even make sense, because you are the most consuming generation, but you are the most arrogant and what do you say? You lecture everybody about sustainability and all that because it's good for Instagram. But the reality is, because you are the biggest consumers in the history of mankind.
That's true.
The biggest wasters. Yeah. So, of course, don't buy unnecessarily. Islam teaches that as well. Don't make israf, don't waste. But I think the average...
So no Rivian for you because you don't
the average person's is made to feel guilty and to the point of like ad nauseum, and through our education system. I remember when I was in school, remember the greenhouse, this hole in the ozone layer.
That's what this whole thing is.
Well, that was a different thing. That was a different matter. That was
it's
changed. That was
CFC. The whole of the ozone layer is repaired,
CFCs.
hasn't it?
It's repaired,
It's repaired.
Fluorocarbon.
How? Like, remember in school,
that's
like
been drilled into us. Man.
from the 80s and 90s.
I still don't understand how these things happen. Like, how did we have a hole and then it just repaired itself? Did someone repair it, or did it happen itself, or what's happened?
The CFC, the laws are passed all over the world So Reagan basically, it's all the history about it, you can find it online. But basically Reagan in his time, there was a law passed and hairspray, we stopped using hairspray and it repaired itself.
That's why.
I don't think it was
hairstyles changed from.
I don't think it was as simple as that, but that was like a big thing. Hairspray was like, I remember hairspray was a big problem.
Wow.
For so we got a hole above Australia. But anyway,
That's why hairstyles changed from the 80s to the 90s to the.
So
that's a bit flatter.
dramatically.
That's
It won't
where
say
the what's that hairstyle called? The mullet. That's where the mullet came from.
yeah.
People were too they couldn't put it up. So
It went down.
In sum, regarding the climate change thing, yeah, I guess the climate is changing, but
If
I'm not to blame for it. You know,
You keep telling yourself
yeah,
that.
this is going in the recycle bin.
You keep
Yeah.
telling yourself that.
Honestly, I'm not to blame for it. You know,
yeah,
I have
I'm not
no
telling-
guilt.
no,
I have
I don't
no
think
whatsoever.
anybody's saying that
Yeah.
each individual should take the blame. But what people are saying is each individual take responsibility.
yeah.
If you see people, the way people like this mantra has been drummed into people. Some people are very like
Malleable.
not malleable, but they've been very like they feel so much guilt. I was listening to the radio, and he said that my biggest worry is the climate change.
What?
Yeah.
That was the guy's biggest worry.
No, it's not just worry. There's studies done on people that are young people, like in their 20s and teenagers, that my future is stuffed up.
The skin.
Yeah, and then they're so stressed out
That they get on their phones all
and
the time
they-
and change their phones every
How
week.
can you stress out about something you got no control over?
Yeah, just
Like-
take it in your stride. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. What I'm saying, like, I have no guilt because I haven't done anything. Like, I don't own any industry, right? And
So you don't have shares in Rivian?
Do you know what's funny though?
I
Like,
should have bought last week. And
Is it?
Yeah,
it
man.
went up 30%. But anyway.
yeah, that would have been. Now I'm thinking about Rivian. That would have been such a
Yeah.
good little.
buy.
Anyways, it is what it is. Sometimes you miss them.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I don't understand about this conversation and this subject is it's always the human factor. We're always talking about the human factor. I don't know why we don't look at there's no discussion around. Maybe there are other things that we need to look at and see. Maybe is there something else causing?
Like what? What do you mean?
Okay, so the main source of heat, that we get from planet Earth, for planet Earth, is from the sun. So
Get rid of the sun?
no, not get rid of the sun. Maybe study the sun too and see maybe the sun has a cycle where it warms up. I mean, look at the last ice age was a result of the tilt in the axes of the globe, right? So I don't know. Is there any discussions around that? Maybe the globe is having a
Well,
similar.
this is the thing. The scientists.
It's just all
But the scientists.
human beings.
The consensus of the field, basically.
Yeah, I
is
know, yeah.
It's man-made
Yeah.
because of the pollution in the air, right? But what I'm saying is, I didn't do that pollution.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't do it. Factories did that.
Depends what you
The
ate
industrial,
last night,
the
brother.
industrial age did. The industrial revolution did that.
Yeah.
And there's factories all over the world, and China did that, and India did that. You know, and they
India's still doing it.
and they're doing it, and they burning coal. I didn't make the policy for that,
Yeah.
so I'll minimize. I'll try to minimize pollution.
Yeah, like even today, I was listening to
I'll
the
hold
radio
it in. I'll hold it in.
about.
But
I just got what you.
because I kept on tiptoeing around and he was giving me looks and I was like, but the thing is that it's a futile exercise for the individual,
Yeah.
and it's stressing out people for no reason. That their biggest worry is they're causing global. You're not causing it, right?
I think I've said this before. I just remember when we got off the plane in India, I was with Lata.
Yeah.
And literally, like, I wish I'd taken a photo of it. He just looks around. We're off the plane. We're in Delhi looking at the pollution, whatever. He just looks around and goes, bro,
Yeah, that's when I realized it was all.
I'm not going to
like-
care about climate change from now on. Like, we are doing nothing in Australia in terms of pollution.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful, clear skies.
Yeah, mashallah.
Yeah.
You can see the sky. In
Yeah.
India,
Yeah.
you cannot see the sky.
Yeah, it's a grey.
China,
Yeah.
There's a-
Beijing.
I couldn't believe it because I used to think it was the clouds, and I was just like, oh, I can't.
I
wait
remember
to
being
see.
in Delhi in
Yeah.
traffic, in a traffic jam, and your eyes are burning.
Yeah.
from the pollution.
subhanallah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
No, I remember.
yeah.
my
I
eyes
remember
burning.
the
I used to think it was dust or something getting into my eye,
it was just a smog.
and it was just smog.
It's that bad.
And then I started wearing glasses.
And you see people wearing like handkerchief around their faces and
Yeah.
as masks. So it's really bad over there. But that's to do with there's no wind out of it. All the factories around Delhi as well.
And the trees are gone.
Yeah.
There's no trees.
Yeah.
There's absolutely
That's one
no
thing
trees.
I've realized. There's no trees in Delhi.
So
I remember one of the biggest things family when they visited here from India once, like one of the biggest things they noticed was that we've got trees on our streets,
Yeah.
or that we've got grass, or there's trees just on our highways.
Yeah. It does a massive difference.
yeah. Yeah, the Melbourne weather it seems to be
I'm over it. We're not in summer.
I
we're not
cut
in
I
winter,
cut
it
the
keeps
grass
changing.
2 weeks ago. Like I left it for a month. Big mistake. Sun,
Yeah,
rain,
yeah,
sun, rain.
yeah.
It was up to it was this high. Like and then I had to get a whippersnipper. It was so painful.
hard work,
It was
hard
so I got a small backyard.
Yeah.
I mean medium sized. And it was just like a jungle. And it was just like half a day's work to cut through that. Today was to do follow it up with the quote unquote electric lawnmower.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake ever.
See, they don't have
Biggest-
enough power.
Well, you need to get one of the top $500-$600 one. Do not waste your money in the 150. If you have a decent sized or medium sized backyard, do not get the $150-$200 ones. They are absolute rubbish.
Which company are you advertising for
The
now?
battery runs out. You done half the backyard and the battery runs out. But it was just painful, like just
Yeah.
because I had to now clean up after.
No, I'm still into my petrol-powered lawnmowers.
Yeah, yeah, you need some
I still
decent.
like my petrol.
Electric whippersnippers are good with the extension cord, not a battery.
Yeah.
Because
They're so annoying, man.
The cord's
setting it
annoying.
up.
I find them
Yeah,
so
but the petrol
annoying.
ones,
If
you know, when they
turn-
get stuffed up, like like
Yeah, speaking of which, I actually need to service mine. I need to change.
yeah,
oil
that's
on
the
my
thing. Like
lawnmower
with
as
electric
well.
ones, you're less likely you need to services,
Yeah.
except for sharpening the blade, maybe. But yeah, it's just a hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday the closest I came to an electric car is I changed my lights from normal lights to LED lights. I felt like I was in the
Which lights?
future.
Headlights.
Yeah, because sometimes I do country drive, so it's
Yeah.
the other ones are just like
'Cause of the girl.
just tawakkul. You're sort of like traveling into the darkness. It's the you don't know. I can't see nothing. You know, like it's just guessing my way. If a high beam,
It
you have
can't
to
be that bad.
it's that bad. It's
The old
literally
lights were that bad.
10, 15 meters. Like I can't see beyond that. It was like I've been doing that for like a year now, but it's been a terrible.
That's like a defect waiting to happen.
That's
Well, it
that's
wouldn't be, but-
that's a kangaroo that I'll hit that I did not see before I hit it.
Allah protect
Yeah,
us, man.
alhamdulillah. But now I've got these like I went for a test
So,
drive.
so how far can you see now?
Oh, it's pretty impressive.
It's
The
like-
LED lights
It's
are.
like where somebody that needs glasses.
I've got a
can
piece of a Tesla like in my car now, like $200. I went cheap, like a little piece. I've gone to the future in an old car. You
Did
know.
you put that in the Ford?
Yeah. I also did it because my son's going to be driving it, so it's his car really. So
yeah, okay.
good
Oh,
dad.
get
yeah.
him to pay for it.
Yeah. But yeah, Melbourne weather, man. There's you know, it was cold. It's cold. The last few days have been cold. You know,
Yeah, and then we've had such a nice day.
it
and you
shows
guys-
you climate change
we
is
had
not real.
Such a you know what?
Yeah, what are you talking about, Wajid?
He's waiting
cooling
for sea,
down.
He's waiting for
It's not
sea
warming
le-
up.
He's waiting for sea levels to rise, so that Melton becomes like beachfront property.
Oh, he'd be
He's in
loving
the
it.
middle of nowhere, and then the prices have just shot up to like $4 million or something like that.
There's
Speaking of
actually
prices, house
Google
prices, man.
Maps online where you can check where the water will go up to.
And Melbourne,
It's surprising how if all the ice melts in the world,
Yeah. Okay,
um,
Melbourne will be gone.
no, city's gone for sure.
Yeah.
That's where we'll be doing like scuba diving in Burke Street. But it was actually kind of fascinating because then you can sort of get an idea. Oh, okay, that's a valley, and then you have like inlets into like Preston. There'll be an inlet into Coburg, Doncaster Freeway, the Eastern Freeway. That'll go right up through that whole because it's quite low. So
well, the freeway is built like that. Like when we have heavy rains, it becomes like a canal.
yeah, so there'll be like canals. You know, you can take a boat. You might be able to take a cruise down Eastern Freeway. You know, like it'll be that. It'll be, but because Doncaster's pretty hilly, so it was surprising how far actually you can go. Like the western suburbs, I think they're gone. Yeah. They're very flat and it's very low.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of altitude. So yeah, so go up into the Hillsville,
How
go
about
into
Melton?
Doncaster.
So you're gone in Melton.
Melton, it's sort of borderline because I'm sort of out. Like,
So you do get the beachfront property.
yeah, I do. Yeah, so I'll be cut off. We'll have Port Phillip Bay will be extended right up to Coburg. So
no wonder he doesn't care about climate change. He just wants his house to go up in value.
yeah, just invest in a boat and a little pier, a little pier at the front. Let's say all the ice did melt, which is probably not going to happen. But if you see the map, the whole of inside of us, you have an inland sea.
Yeah.
There's nothing in Alice Springs and a few other little things like Kupiti and
Yeah.
it'd be pretty interesting.
May Allah protect us from all this.
I find it a very interesting concept that we're thinking or we're talking about this only because it's like only insan will try to, you know what I mean, make plans to like alter, the temperature of the globe and
It's so arrogant. It's so arrogant.
I think only insan is trying.
It's so arrogant.
Big time.
I think insan is just trying to decrease the impact that they're having on the world.
You really think so, though? Because if they really wanted to, if collectively as human beings,
But
if we
they don't
wanted
want to. That's the whole point.
yeah. So it's arrogant because there's this whole push of like we got to do this, we got to do that, and so where's it coming from, right? The people, government, and if government really want to do something, they can literally do it tomorrow by creating laws and changing who they do business with.
Problem is governments just want to stay in power, so they'll look at the seats that will keep them in power and just pander to those guys.
Yeah, so whatever it is that they're talking about when it comes to climate change, it's not genuine. It's not a genuine concern. It's more of an arrogant type of thing, like let's fix the globe and its temperature and because we can. We went to the moon and all that stuff. When it's just
now we're going to Mars.
Now we're going to
Look,
Mars.
this conversation is definitely giving me food for thought.
Yeah.
I still want to go to Mars.
What I'm just saying, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're not the problem. And everybody listening, you're not the problem.
Yeah, just
unless you own a factory and
but it doesn't
or you're
mean
a politician
going nuts.
How can an average person? What is he going to do? Even if he puts his car on 24 hours a day, burns petrol, revs it, makes a wood stove fire every day, he still will. It'd be so minuscule in the overall scheme.
To what's happening.
Yeah,
compared to one.
That's what I'm saying. The average person, do not worry, don't stress about this. There's sheikhs giving khutbahs and telling people to about green khutbahs and I'm saying come on, guys.
When's your green khutbah?
No, I'm not giving. I'm not giving it. Our khutbah is like don't waste. Because that's an Islamic teaching.
We already have
as
it.
Individual, do not make israf as an individual. Cut down on the Amazon orders and buying things.
The boxes they send the stuff in is crazy.
And don't overdo it with consumption. But if you, that's more of your own akhlaq thing, like your own character.
Yeah.
That you shouldn't be a spendthrift and waste, because in Islam we're taught not to waste. But the idea that you are the one that's causing climate change, no, you're not. You're a very insignificant contributor. If any, I believe you're negligible. As an individual. But those factory owners and they're making just burning up coal and so forth and heavy industries and so forth. Yeah, we benefit from.
Does Elon talk about climate change?
Yeah. Look at France, right?
Does Elon Musk talk about climate change? I'm curious.
Before we talk about Elon, look at France, right? France are the biggest pushers of this climate change stuff, but they're not so. And our position as Australians, right, or the Australian government, look at their position. They operate on nuclear power, and what do we use? We use coal to generate energy. So they wouldn't have to make any changes to meet whatever numbers that they need to meet in terms of emission numbers. Whereas us, we could go broke as a country, and that will affect us individually if we decide, we're going to do this, global warming thing. It's like you've got to take into perspective, even as a country, where your positions are. If we had nuclear power, yeah, fair enough, we could. The
crazy thing is, just listening to all of this, it's just going in my head. The amount of crap that we or individuals are being told to worry about or stress about is ridiculous. Pandemic, climate change, and I'm not saying pandemic's not real, climate change is not real. This is not.
But it's another thing I got to worry about.
And then you got housing prices, and then low wages or whatever. Just it's what'd you say, Ahmed? petrol prices. Like it's madness the amount of pressure that.
Why
that
is the
must be
petrol
on
price
people.
up?
Inflation. So when inflation happens, you get commodities that.
Is
go
it
up.
just inflation, or is it because of supply chain? The supply chain issues.
I mean, they're gonna spin that in the news, supply chain issues and yada yada. But it's inflation. Whenever you have high inflation, the commodities tend to go up because that's a real reflection of what the dollar value is. Is you pin it against a commodity.
Yeah, house prices.
That one I can't understand.
Housing prices.
Housing prices, I cannot understand how and where the money is coming for these houses in Melbourne.
And
They're-
there's
what they're
a
selling
program
for.
recently. Sydney's worse. Like Melbourne's.
People are paying $500,000 to $700,000 above reserve
Yeah,
for houses. Where are they getting this cash from, man?
they're borrowing it.
Yeah,
It's all the crypto money they made.
right, there would be some definitely that's made crypto.
Yeah.
There's only 5% of the world's of the general population that's in crypto, though.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's like baby stages
It's getting there slowly.
What's that? 5%.
of the global population is on crypto.
Okay. Interesting.
China's banned it.
Yeah, and some.
China's banned it every year.
Yeah, and
Why is China banning it? You're the crypto man, the resident crypto man. Lada, talk to me.
Manipulation, I think, so
Of?
they can make money off the crypto because they're mining crypto.
They are?
Yeah,
But as a government or as individuals?
as a government.
Are you sure?
Yeah, most of these countries are. Australia is, America is.
how can they
UK
ban
is.
it and then they make money off it?
Well, if they ban it, it creates the. So the idea is you create fear, and if you create fear, people start selling it, which then causes the price to drop, and you can buy it at a cheaper price. So
I don't think at a government level, it's that. I'll get people doing it.
I
Like,
can imagine China doing it,
because it's
man.
billions of dollars.
I don't think so.
Oh, come on.
It's billions,
Yeah.
billions of dollars, like billions.
Well, the biggest economies banned it, and fatwas also coming out hard and fast from various bodies in Egypt and Indonesia and many muftis.
This is going to be an interesting.
So what are they
conversation.
saying?
What are they saying?
There's various. I was listening to one of the most senior ulama in India, Mufti Khalid Saifullah Rahmani, and it's very interesting the way he looked at Mufti Taqi Sahib as well. Mufti Taqi Sahib looked at it for 2 years. You got to understand, firstly, is they're not looking at it like as this is an exciting new technology or a new way to do currency.
Yeah.
They purely look at it from a fiqh thing.
Mm.
They don't have any skin in the game for they're not looking. See, the people that will speak for it are the ones that want to invest in it and they see hope or potential in this. These ulama, these are very senior ulama. Like they've spent their life in fatwa, in fiqh, and Islamic finance as well, finance industries. So they're not like just sitting teaching wudu and salat, and these are people that know the markets and how a market works in general. Mufti Taqi Usmani, when it was presented to him and Mufti Khalid Sayyidina, they looked at it for a long time at the various. They understood what they don't understand in it. That's people assumed, they don't know this, they don't know that. Yeah, you can throw that out.
What does that mean, though? They understood what they don't understand.
For example, Mufti Taqi Sahib said, look, you need to really understand you have to understand what a blockchain is and how it works. And he talks about it. You need to have an expertise in IT. In a sub branch of that is cryptology, like
Cryptography,
cryptography, whatever. So, like the fact that he's actually explaining that, like I understand when he's explaining it. He goes, "These are the things. This is not my special. This thing is not my expertise."
Okay,
but he understands the concepts of it. The fact that he's discussing it. I was actually very impressed that he goes, okay, he knows this, he knows this, he knows this.
And I appreciate where he said, I'm not an expert in this.
Yeah, on that thing, but not on Islamic, the concept of currency.
Yeah, on that thing, yeah.
So currency, the issue is that people who've already accepted as halal without checking with anybody, that's a problem. Because people have decided to invest in it or to deal in it. I'm not giving a fatwa here. So just people who are investing, please don't, jump on me. But at the same time, did you check properly that this is halal or not?
I didn't.
I'm not talking about anyone present company, right? We're not talking about people we know or anything like that. I'm saying for the people who did invest in it, did you check even was it halal from work? Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what Islamic teachings give us, is that when you do any business dealing, that's why Umar radiallahu anhu said, nobody's allowed in our marketplace, like in the marketplace where they used to trade, until he knows the rules of halal and haram. Meaning that he cannot trade in the markets of Medina, like buying and selling and so forth, the normal basic transactions, until they know the rulings, the fiqh of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So how many of the brothers that we know, because I know a lot of brothers do this, how many of you actually even checked it? The first thing that you did was to check if this is halal or not?
Yeah.
Or was it after the matter? After the
Most likely after the matter.
After the matter, then you've invested money. Now it says Sheikh is a halal, but you've already put the money in there.
Yeah.
So why are you asking now? Is it a guilt thing, or is it a obviously I would put it down to that it's iman, and you still want to do the right thing.
But make it
But
halal
then
for
the
me.
problem is, the problem is if you hear anything otherwise, many of these brothers, when they hear anything otherwise contradicts of what they think is because they benefit from it, or they think it's a good, or or even the basic human instinct of greed, like there's a lot of that going on.
100%.
So when these muftis, coming back to the concept of currency, initially, I think we've discussed in the podcast before.
Yeah.
I said this before, that the various, because it takes sometimes on an issue time to understand the in understandings of it and so forth. So some alims were like, they were sort of pro for it, some were against it, some looked into waited, and not like 1 year, 2 years before they formed the definitive view. So, and they said that it's not permissible, and these are the reasons why. So one of the reasons, Khalid Saifullah Rahmani, what he said was very interesting. He said, currency throughout all human history has been basically gold and silver.
Yes.
It has an intrinsic value.
That's true, 100%.
But
Yeah.
you also have to understand, what does intrinsic value mean? What does it mean gold and silver has value?
Because it has value outside of its value of exchange. People already, without having to...
You're mixing up two things. What does it mean that it's value?
But
They accept it as a currency, as a means of exchange. That's a separate thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But-
So outside of a piece of gold being currency, gold has a value outside of that. That you can use it as jewelry.
No.
People,
You don't understand what I'm saying.
okay.
Its value, what does it mean that it has value? It has value that it can be swapped for anything.
Yeah, but
For example,
that's anything though.
no, but like as a just a basically raw material. That with this thing, yeah, exactly. So we're coming to that point.
Yeah.
So it has an intrinsic value, meaning that with this gold, for example, I can buy this much, bread, for example.
But it's still currency though. That's if you're viewing it that way.
Yeah, but it has a value. The value means what? You can exchange it for all these goods and services, right? That's where you can get. This was right up until the 90s. It's not a very long time in human history. 1970s when the US dollar separated. I think the sterling, the pound was like in the 30s, and the gold was separated in the early 70s from Nixon. That really honest businessman, as president. So it was in early 70s. It's not a very long time ago. So it's literally it's been 50 years.
Yeah.
And it was separated. Now what replaced what backed gold? What was the gold has intrinsic value and stuff. And some imams, like I think Ibn Khaldun, rahimahullah, what he said was that gold and silver was sent by Allah into the world as a thaman, as a currency, as a means of exchange.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only true currency.
Well, so getting to the point, now what it was replaced with is replaced with paper and plastic money.
Fiat currency, yeah.
But fiat currency is what? There's a number code and whatever, but what's it backed by?
A signature.
The government.
The economy of the strength of the economy of the country.
No.
The strength of the economy that's how exchange works.
No.
The money is backed by what? By the Reserve Bank, which is a representative of the thing. They determine the value. But how is it determined?
I mean,
what's the backing of money? What backs the money? The strength of a dollar.
What backs it is what people are willing to exchange it for. So
correct.
So it's not the country; it's the people that are outside the country.
Economy. It's still economy. Yeah, it's still economy.
It's whatever the economy values that currency
correct.
for. Yeah.
So there is something that backs it. There's something that backs it, which is the strength of the economy. Whether you take an individual economy, world economy, whatever. But
But it's not tangible though, because if you're talking about gold and silver are tangible things that are backed up by their actual tangible value.
Correct.
Right?
The physical thing.
And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying is that this is where we're coming to crypto. Where what's crypto backed by?
The same thing fiat's backed by.
But the fiat's backed by, but it hasn't reached the level where.
Oh, it has. It's surpassed it.
No, it hasn't. No way. No way.
You can look at it by its value. How much is one Bitcoin compared to $1 US? Mm-hmm. At some point, it was nothing, and now it's $62,000. People, anybody that has any idea of anything that's got to do with the market, you tell them, I will give you a Bitcoin, or you can have $60,000. They'll always choose the Bitcoin because they know that this is the most sought after asset.
And this is there's arguments for and against, but it being a currency, it hasn't reached the level of a currency. It hasn't reached a level of currency.
But
what currency that dominate the world?
But
Would
it
it be
has.
the US has replaced the US dollar?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go by that, you've got currency like the Afghan, whatever the currency is. That's not
Afghani.
worthless.
It's called Afghani.
You know,
That was original.
Afghanis get really upset about being called Afghanis because they say money. But anyway,
It's like saying
Afghans.
what are they called? Afghans.
The people are Afghans, the money. Everyone keeps on calling them Afghanis.
Me too. That's why I'm like, I wanted to make sure I'm not calling them incorrectly.
I know what you're saying, but what Mufti Khalid Saifullah Rahmani said that the part of the problem with crypto is the extreme speculative nature of it as well.
Yeah, but that's the
It's
Forex
not like
trading.
anything else. It's
But
not
that's forex trading as well. If you do trading,
not
forex
at this
No, it's
extreme
not.
level. This
It's
the
not.
the boom and bust.
it is hectic.
The boom and bust of it is extreme.
Yeah, it is extreme.
There is a massive gambling element in the
we missed a lot of booms.
the boom and bust nature of it, and people are not going there as a thaman. It's like they're not going there as a currency. They're going there for the extreme speculative nature of it. There is a gambling element of it.
But there's different. If you're in the crypto space, look our thread, right, Wajid? How many different types of crypto traders are there? There's what you call a maximalist, right? Where we've got two of those in this thread, where all they believe in terms of currency is Bitcoin. But US means nothing to them. Yeah, any other currency means nothing to them. The only thing that they see is Bitcoin.
So what's the Bitcoin backed up by?
Okay, so it's back
Because currencies are backed up by the reserve banks and the governments of countries, like the ones that have their currencies.
Okay, so what you have to understand, right, is fiat currency. Yeah, if tomorrow something happens and I don't know, let's just say the rest of the world decides, the Australian dollar is worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There is no backing. The backing is what people value. It's the same with Bitcoin.
No, but the thing is that Australian government will
They can't do nothing.
They
No,
can't,
they
this
can't.
is where you
No.
get crazy
This-
inflation. They can't.
They
do
can't do nothing. It's the market. The market
This is
dictates
yeah.
what
So
happens
it's
to
to
the
do with
price.
GDP. It's to do with the.
but
It's
this is
it's
why
to do.
you have hyperinflation.
There's a lot of economic
No.
economic tools and levers
Yeah.
where the Reserve Bank of Australia will make sure to protect that
But
currency
why do they do
because
that?
they export their goods.
Yeah,
in
but-
that that's a currency they trade in.
But there's a reason why they tweak and change things,
Yeah.
right? So the reason why they do it is to tailor to the market. So the market continues to have confidence in
And
the Australian
functions.
currency.
Correct.
This is why.
So it's
people-
backed up by
But
something.
no, but
No,
this, you
it's-
can't use that.
But
'cause
when you say backed
well,
up,
I
it's
gotta
the
say something here.
it's
This is why
Yeah.
in some countries the price of bread becomes $10,000.
That's those countries because they
Hyperinflation.
failed. There's a failed state.
that's
But they
point.
haven't though. They haven't failed.
But it's not
And
that.
gold
it's backed
can-
up by the
and
government.
the same thing can
And
happen.
gold fixes that.
And gold has failed as well historically.
No, actually, I would say.
Mansa Musa, when he went to Egypt, what did he do?
Yeah, well, I mean, he did collapse.
Yeah, Egypt,
markets.
and it took like 30 years to recover.
Yeah.
So it can happen with like intrinsic currency like that as well. So I know what you're saying. I understand it, and it is probably more complicated than
can
a
I-
discussion for this podcast.
Can I be clear in terms of
No,
my
no, let's
views,
keep
right?
going. I'm
My-
enjoying this.
My view,
It's interesting.
honestly,
Don't stop the podcast. Let's keep going. And
yeah,
we can edit it.
my view is that, I mean, I'm not I can't give out fatwas. I'm not an alim. I haven't studied, but
We'll talk later.
just from my observation, from what I know, from the little knowledge that I have, right, in terms of what's haram and what's halal, right, I would argue that this whole system is non-halal compliant. Like this whole system of the current system that we're in terms of this fiat currency, it's all derived from debt. It's all derived from riba. One way or another,
We're touched.
you're touched by riba.
Okay.
You can't avoid it. The only way you can avoid it is to go out the bush and just live off the land. If you're going to come in and do business and do this and do that, there is some sort of riba happening. So it's, I don't know, like it's.
What's it got to do with crypto?
No, I'm just saying that.
Everything's haram, so leave me alone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, we can argue.
Lata's not just making a point. This is an understanding of out there in society.
Yeah.
So this is why he, like, I actually said to him, I go, you got to talk about it, right? So this is what
Unfortunately, I can't. What the
But
in initial, I think Darum Zakaria in South Africa, they gave fatwa on this, that if the Reserve Bank of the country, which is the government body that backs up currency and so forth, their regulators, if they approve it, so there's a legal framework to it, and it does become a means of exchange. Now, crypto, with all the fanfare, has not still become a means.
Salvador.
In certain, no. Who cares about El Salvador? Like it's like a dot on the map.
No.
No, I'm talking about Australia. I'm talking about Australia, where we live in, the jurisdiction that we live in. It has not become a common means of exchange in Australia. It has not. People.
It's only
5%
Commonwealth
of
Bank
the
just
whole world.
listed
Yeah.
Well, I don't know in Australia how many people are, but
So
when I say
very
means of exchange,
26%.
people are actually. How many people are buying goods and services in Australia on a daily basis? Like go to Safeway.
No one's buying goods and services.
Exactly.
Off
So
Bitcoin.
that's what they're talking about. When they say it's a means of exchange.
But it's like gold. Who's buying stuff with gold? Nobody.
Yeah, we're not talking about gold here. We're talking about fiat currency and crypto.
No, but the reason why I'm mentioning it is because how they use it. Bitcoin is not used to buy and sell things. It's used in the same way that you
store of value.
You store your value. So instead of taking your money and putting it in a bank
Or in gold.
or buying gold or silver or buying shares, you buy Bitcoin.
I think long term, there's two things going to happen. Like in China, the regulatory bodies, they will cut the lifeline. They'll pass laws if they feel that economy is going, because it's basically part of it is a dark economy. Like it's
unregulated.
It's unregulated.
They can't tax us.
Decentralized.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Whatever it
they
is,
can't tax
it's beyond the reach of the government, probably directly.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to allow that because that'll cause economic collapse.
That's the whole principle behind crypto.
Yeah. So, but nobody's going to allow that. Like they're allowing it to.
But they can't though.
They're allowing it. Try avoid taxes, and you'll see how it quickly. The taxman. Some always gets you. So we live in a jurisdiction. We rule by government. The government of Australia.
Yeah.
And that government of Australia.
Dan Andrews.
Its reach is into your pocket, and it'll always be there. They will never.
What if I have a cold wallet?
What do you mean a cold wallet?
See, there's anyways, you can have like a thing where you store your crypto and that's it. It's gone.
If you want to live your life in Australia and buy goods and services, because at the end of the day, you have to do goods and services, right?
No.
But in the banking system, how do drug dealers launder money?
I mean, many ways. One of them is crypto.
Sometimes,
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Sometimes they can't launder it. When they had cash, they couldn't launder it fast enough. The banking system is set up. There's like if you know about laundering, because somehow you have to bring it back into the system, you can use it.
Yeah.
So you can benefit from buy all the goodies Amazon goodies that you want to buy. So, like you got to bring the money out, right? You can't just keep it in crypto for 20 years. As soon as you bring it into the mainstream bank, into your Commonwealth bank account,
you're going to get red flags.
There's going to be
That was a conversation I was having.
the red flag will come
That was
up.
my
The red
point.
flag. Oh, there's $20,000 just appeared in this guy's bank account. That is going to get audited. That's how they catch drug dealers. Where's his money coming from? So like they don't worry about the guy 500 here, 200 here, like.
But there's a lot of people who accept cryptocurrency over cash. And when I say a lot, I mean like a lot of people. Right now banks are doing it. The Commonwealth Bank is doing it. So you can find ways. It's actually getting to the point where it's become. If we had this conversation maybe 2 years ago, start of the pandemic,
I wish we had, mate.
I would definitely be like, yeah, he's got a point, this, that. But now it's like it's just become that much more easier for me to be able to exchange
Look,
my
I didn't
crypto for
maybe
things.
because I don't have expertise in finance or Islamic finance. I've just observed some of the fatwa that come out from Indonesia, from the Majlis there, from Azhar, from Mufti Taqi Mufti Khalid. These are like most senior bodies and ulama in the world.
Yeah,
And basically it's a negative.
yeah.
And
But it's interesting to talk about, you know.
yeah, but I feel like the general
But
tide.
do you think these ulama have understood the nuances in order to give a fatwa?
I think they've probably understood it deeper than many people involved in crypto. The fact that you're trading in every day doesn't mean that you have a deep understanding of the
Yeah, I
instruments
understand
and currency and the Islamic concept of currency, which has allowed fiat currency to be the fatwa given that it is halal. Fiat currency is halal. People can argue that gold and silver is the only thing you're trading, but that's not true. So the fatwa for the last 50 years, and the senior mufti has given, explained it, that this is permissible because historically we had other things that we traded with other than gold and silver. Copper was used. So there are other things
But copper is still tangible though. It's still useful. What's useful about fiat?
No, but copper wasn't because the value of copper is valuable now. But copper was just like you get iron and you just stamp it.
Yeah,
So
but you can
historically, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
copper was it's like the concept of fiat currency is not new historically. So fiat currency existed in the Muslim world
Yeah.
before 1970. So
People was trading with shells as well, so that makes
yeah, in
sense.
Solomon Islands they still do it. I think
Yeah.
in Papua New Guinea for
Yeah.
marriages and stuff. So
Imagine-
and dolphin teeth.
Imagine we could just do that. We could just collect
You know,
shells and
the
that was
dolphin-
money.
Dolphin teeth. They do dolphin teeth, make necklaces out of dolphin teeth.
Dolphin teeth.
Yeah. Because that's the best necklace, apparently, not the shells. But anyway, that's for a really beautiful, like, the funny thing is in Hanafi fiqh books, it mentions if you give mahar, pigs as a mahar.
What?
It's a hypothetical, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's
okay.
a hypothetical, right?
What just happened?
But the thing is that in Papua New Guinea, if she's really good looking, you give a lot of pigs. So it's actually a real thing.
What does it say in Hanafi fiqh? Can you give a pig as a mahar?
No. What I think it
what you're saying?
resorts. No, you can't because it's not a thing of value for us. But the value of that or something that's understood to be, then you give the equivalent. Like it's like $1,000 worth of pigs, so you should give $1,000 or something of value.
So why did pigs even come into the equation?
I think because Muslims were. Because there's Christians and Jews and maybe Christians, Jews don't do it. They lived in the Muslim world and they probably traded in it.
Yeah,
so it was
okay.
something was there. Like it's probably like sheep. I'll give 20 sheep for your daughter. Like something like that. I don't know. Whatever. Like they. So I think it's people who are involved in crypto. They shouldn't take this discussion as like a fatwa. The fact that there are senior ulama and governments putting obstacles. I think Indonesia is banning it as a country.
Oh, I can see the whole world banning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
They'll
it will
definitely
become very difficult to, like in China, who will
But then if
dare?
the whole world bans it, all prices are going to crash.
Nah, they can't touch Bitcoin. I don't know about the other cryptocurrencies, but if all it needs is just one guy in Africa, with an internet connection and electricity, and all of the Bitcoin system will continue to operate. So it's impossible. You can ban all you want. You can do whatever you want.
No.
but
Let's say in
can't turn off
China
the
they
internet.
make a law against you trading in it. And as an example, if they made a law against you having Bitcoins, right, and you decided to get Bitcoins, which is against the law, and there's a penalty for it,
Yeah.
and you get arrested, so there's going to be consequences for it, right? It's illegal trading. You're not allowed to trade in it.
Yeah.
So you could do it. It's like dealing in drugs. I mean, if it becomes a crime,
I mean, I'm
people
talking
are
about the
dealing
whole world.
the people. I know, but China's not an insignificant player now because the biggest economy in the world.
Yeah.
So it will ripple throughout. So you can't people will do it illegally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it will go into it'll be on Tor. Like the dark web. It's
But the
so what I'm saying is like people are doing drug dealing. It's illegal, but people still do it.
Yeah. But
So-
it's funny how they're mining it too, though. Like the Australian government. The Australian government has been mining it since 2013.
Do we have proof of that?
Yeah, it's in the. You can go onto the ATO's website. I'll show you after this podcast. You can read it. It's like in tiny writing. They actually have a disclaimer that they mine Bitcoin as a reserve, as part of their assets of reserves of currencies, which makes sense.
And
Just in case.
if crypto was not a store of value or whatever, these massive investment houses wouldn't be spending billions on it.
Yeah.
That's another thing to think about.
Yeah, the laws we should keep. Yeah, for me, there's too much. When it comes to the fiqh side of things, it's very simple. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the halal is clear, the haram is clear. And then there are grey area. And he said the one who wants to save his deen reputation, then you should stay away from it. So this is the so if you want to protect your akhirah and your deen, I'm sorry for the people that invested in it, whatever. But no, it's not about going bush. But it's there. If there's a grey area, then a person better really look. And is it just my greed that's driving it, or I'm trying to do the right thing?
You know.
So the muftis that have written on this, I only gave you like sort of like a superficial, because I can't even recall. I read the fatwas, but I didn't actually memorize it. So I'm sort of catching bits of it in my mind. Yeah. So, but it's interesting that the concept of currency keeps coming again and again. Fiat currency keeps coming again. Fiat currency is halal. The fatwa was given on that 50 years ago. The most senior ulama that were alive in the world at that time, they gave, and some of the things I mentioned, that it is backed up. Now, you might not say it's not backed up, but the strength of the economy of the country determines the value of the currency. That is a fact. That's why the bigger the economies, what they're trading in that, you see the currency, the value is more. The ones that have nothing, they have no GDP or anything like that, you see the currency have no value.
Not necessarily. Look at China. The yuan isn't worth that much, is it?
Well, there's a bit of currency manipulation going on there. That's another story. But that's what Trump accused them of. The biggest currency manipulator is China.
Yeah.
So you can cheat the system, obviously. I mean, there are levers and mechanisms that are being used by countries.
China's making their own crypto anyway, so.
In Australia, I think
China coin? Is that what it's called?
One
coin. It sounds more Spanish.
Yeah.
One.
Juan and Jesus. That's a cents, dollars and cents. Juan and Jesus. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Talking about this crypto topic, there are some cryptocurrencies that are, I would say, blatantly haram.
Yeah, the gaming ones.
Yeah, like the gaming ones, like the meme coins. So I can
Dogecoin.
Doge. There's another one, Shiba. Shiba is a meme of Dogecoin. So there's a meme of a meme.
Yeah, that's even silly. Like it does. It sounds even silly.
People became millionaires off it. Someone that invested, if you'd invested $15, when Shiba first came out, you would have had 1.3 mil.
Yeah, we know. There's a brother of ours that invested quite substantial amount of money and lost it all. Yeah.
But did he lose it?
So that doesn't seem.
Oh no, he probably like maybe like 5%.
He lost 5%.
No, he held on 5%. The 95%'s gone.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The extreme speculative nature of it, because in fiqh there is specific rulings. I can tell you this one, that extreme profit making is not permissible.
Subhanallah.
There's a cap on it. Like double the market rate is not permissible. Like whatever generally is sold in the market, if you go double the profit or double the market rate, this is like going over the top. Like, so the idea that you can make 1,000 times profit on something.
But what if that is
but
the
that's
market
what
rate?
the market is dictating.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So the market is saying
the market is
that's what it's about.
Good point.
That's what it is.
Setting the rate.
Yeah.
It's not. We live in an interesting new paradigm at the moment.
Look, because I put a caveat that I'm not an expert in Islamic finance or finance.
We know.
No, I got to say it because people might take it the wrong way. But I err on the side of caution, and I would advise others to do the same. It's not something to.
You know what he wants? He wants us to sell all our crypto so prices go down, and he's going to pick it all up later on.
Yeah.
So then when the prices goes up, he can buy his Rivian coin, Rivian car.
He just rocks up with one.
One of those guys. Hey guys, Ship did this.
Number plate Doge.
I've seen a car outside of the casino in the city. What was it, McLaren or something like that, fully wrapped in Dogecoin.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That was
there are so many cars
when
like
it just
that.
went crazy.
Yeah.
Missed that boat. Malana, why didn't you tell me? You're the professional in cryptos.
Yeah. It's tempting. It's tempting. It's very tempting. The targheeb that you get from the crypto guys, it's the encouragement, the positive. I'm speaking literally of yesterday. The way they just throw it in the conversation. Yeah, it pays the bills.
No.
Yeah. That was yesterday as a friend. Just chucks it in here and there, and you feel like I missed it. But then you reassess and. Haram. And I didn't say anything to him, but the jury's still out.
It's not haram. The jury's out.
The jury's out,
but
but
fatwa of haram. We need to make
there
that
are
clear.
no the Egyptian one, the Indonesian one.
Yeah, but you're gonna believe the Jippos and the Indos?
La hawla wa la quwwata illa
I'm
billah.
joking. Stop.
Are there ulama that are saying that it's halal? Is it like, are they debating, or is it
From senior ulama, I haven't seen. It seems to be going the direction of like the research scholars seem to be going the
But
direction.
is that
of-
because they haven't understood it?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a arrogant.
Lata,
I think that's the crypto supporters. I think that's why I said it at the start, because I assume that they haven't looked into it. Then when I listened to them, I said, oh no, they do understand what's going on. They understood.
Is it in English?
No, it's in Urdu and in Arabic. Most of this stuff is in Urdu, Arabic, and Indonesian.
Crypto's English conversation. That's why they haven't understood it.
No, they know finance. They know finance.
Yeah, good point.
But do they know?
The
listen,
assumption should not be made
if they know
that the
finance,
sheikhs don't know what they're talking
well,
about.
hang on a
This
sec.
is-
If they know
I'm putting
finance,
Jacqui Lambie. Was
listen,
it?
but I want to finish this. If they know finance, can you say they know finance, just Islamic finance or global finance? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
like
No.
Let him finish. Let him say this. Lada, go for it, buddy.
To understand modern Islamic finance, you have to understand modern finance and economics. There is no way around that.
And what's this level of understanding, right? Because the one thing that also is like
Let him finish.
brewing in my mind is that there are no, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no ulama that I'm aware of that are leading in any fields outside of fiqh. You know what I mean? So everything that they're sort of deriving outside of fiqh in terms of like anything that's got to do with dunya related stuff, like let's just say
But fiqh
crypto.
covers everything.
No, but let him finish what he's trying to say.
No, I heard what he said. He's saying
Yeah.
that the ulama only know fiqh, but fiqh covers everything.
No,
but
not
he's
only
talking
no
about
fiqh, but what I'm
specialising
saying,
in that
specializing,
field.
being not just specializing, but leading. You know, because there was a time when Muslims we were leading. We were leading in science. We were leading in mathematics. We were leading in X, Y, and Z. But I don't think we are in that sort of realm right now. I don't know if there is an ulama that's like academically,
No, you don't know them. That's the thing.
No,
There's
but what
people like PhDs in Islamic finance. Like I know a mufti whose whole specialization
Yeah.
is in the final part of the contract of a finance. His specialization is only in the final part of it. So no, you don't, because you don't know. That's the thing. Like because you're not familiar with the people experts of the field.
No, because I know there are.
Like you've
So
got
this
ulama. Like
this is what
I'll
I'm
give
saying.
you. I'll throw some names out.
Okay.
There are whole boards
Yeah.
on Islamic banks. They're all like PhDs.
Yeah.
You'll see the IOFI standards, for example, which is Islamic standards for different products. It's a 1,200-page document. The board of that, when they sit for a meeting, is like it's like 50 people sitting at a table, long table, and everyone's a PhD on that, and their specializations is finance and Islamic finance. So yes,
but
Islamic finance.
are there any leaders though? Like for example, we'll say
Because-
Jeffrey from Goldman Sachs. Will he take this person's advice because he knows this person's name is accredited, world leading, renowned finance expert?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Yeah, there are. They're like Mufti Taqi Usman is one, because my teacher, as I was mentioning first. There's many, like there's
Because I don't know.
Sheikh
So-
Yusuf De Lorenzo, like he's a like a convert to Islam who
MashaAllah.
graduated from Darul Uloom in Karachi, in Benodi town, and then he studied with other mashayikh, and you see him on like boards of many banks and many things. These they developed, invented like sukuk Islamic bonds, like products. Like you have to understand that the Islamic finance industry is literally like 20, 30, 40 years old, right?
Yeah, it's nothing.
And headquartered around Dubai and these areas, and basically these rich Arabs, because they had the finance of petrodollars and so forth. So they were religiously inclined. So they created the whole private, like an industry. Then regulations had to be made by Emirates and other countries, Malaysia as well. There's a whole list of names, because it's such a boring subject for me anyway, personally.
Yeah.
Like I consider Islamic finance to be, it's important, but for me personally, just such a boring subject. I've studied it. One of the exams that I had was on Islamic finance, the international IOFI standard, which is like an international standards of Islamic finance of various products, like how to do musharaka, how to do mudaraba, how to do, there's a whole list of products, like how to do a partnership, how to do a company, what are the rules that govern each takaful, Islamic insurance, like whole list of products, ijara products, what are the rules for it, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's haram in this. So those are standard, like they had like conferences for each of those standards, like to discuss and flesh out a whole system. So people like Mufti Taqi Usmani and and other like senior like in the Middle East. It's like it's a whole field. Like it's a whole.
I think the point Lata's making is, yes, it is a whole field, but it is a Islamic finance field.
Like
Do they understand the Western
They have to.
non-Islamic
Islamic finance. One thing to understand about Islamic
Is
finance.
that what you're trying to say?
Islamic finance that we know
more or
today,
less.
Islamic finance is not the Islamic finance of classic fiqh books. Islamic finance of today is like a hybrid of Western finance, like the modern finance, plus Islamic concept. It's actually like a third creature, like a new creature, like a hybrid. Like
It's not classical Islamic finance from.
no, it's not. Like for example,
it
ijara
can't be,
product.
yeah.
Like ijara is a product. Like in fiqh books, ijara is being used today across the world as a finance product for house ownership, car ownership, etc. Like a lease product that ends up in ownership. But ijara in the fiqh books is just lease, like renting. Right. So what they've done is taken classic, so modern. What I was telling you about the IOFI standards and the Islamic standards that all these ulama created and so forth through all these conferences. They had to create a solution through the private industries and banking and so forth, because many governments were incapable or refusing to let go of the sort of riba-based Western system. So when Mufti Taqi Sahib said this, he said, we tried in the 70s in Pakistan, but they took our fatwas and they twisted them. So we turned our attention, this is in the 70s, we turned our attention to the private industry, banking and so forth. That's why you see there's not much leadership that comes. The leadership that came from the government came as an afterthought.
Yeah.
Because now there's this $1 billion industry or $1 trillion industry now, which then it needs to be managed.
Yeah.
So they need to follow some standards and whatever. But it really came from the private industry that to develop products.
Yeah.
And
Subhanallah. It's just like everything else.
Like
Yeah.
crypto.
The market. Yeah.
So if you see like Mufti, that's what Mufti
Subhanallah.
Taqi Sahib. So he's him, Sheikh Yusuf Lorenzo. There's other names as well in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So they drove this point because they gave up on the government trying to come up with a.
See, I just thought, like, in my ignorance, I just thought, their expertise was fiqh, and then everything else
from the books.
and everything else was secondary because they're learning from universities. You know
as
what I
an
mean?
example, like Mufti Taqi Usmani, he studied classic fiqh and madrasa and so forth. Then he went and studied law.
Yeah.
Is he a lawyer?
Yeah, and became a judge as well.
Mashallah.
So in Pakistan, so then even one of the judge, because in Pakistan we have a dual system like Malaysia, which is like we got the common law system and the British, and we got the Sharia courts. So one of the common law, which is like the British law.
Yeah, common law. Yeah.
So they like Mufti Taqi, he said Mufti Taqi Sahib was explaining a concept, like a philosophical concept of the law to the judge, like a senior judge. And he was shocked at Mufti Taqi Sahib's way of explaining it. So he said, how do you know? How do you understand it? He said, because of the, the Hidayah, which Maulana Ahmadi studied, the final year fiqh book of the Alim course, which is written like 700 years ago, 600 years ago. He said that
Subhanallah.
helped me, like knowing that book
Subhanallah.
helped me understand, like break down common law in the modern legal system.
Yeah.
So, but Mufti Taqi Sahib is unique because, and there's not one, there's thousands, I wouldn't say even hundreds, thousands of ulama. But the thing is, like, if I ask you, for example, who are the leading thinkers in neuroscience?
That's
Do you know
a
them?
question.
Neuroscience.
Neuroscience.
Oh no, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why? Because you have no interest in the field.
Yeah.
It's far away. They're sitting in Monash laboratory and they're sitting in yeah, exactly. We don't know nothing about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or the cancer. Who are the top cancer researchers? We don't know.
Yeah.
So, but they treat our family. They treat people, friends. They've who are the ones who develop this thing, who develop that thing.
Yeah.
So we don't know. So because it's not an interest to us, and whoever makes us breakthroughs, like we don't know the breakthroughs, who made what breakthrough. We hear sometimes on the news, in Monash, they made it, because I'm a Monash graduate, so I got to keep throwing. I think you're a Monash graduate as well. So,
I'm a UTAS graduate.
did you finish?
gonna say,
Did you
yeah.
finish at Monash?
Yeah, but I finished at Monash. Yeah, my subjects were through Monash.
Okay,
That's
so
what I mean.
so like because they're like world leading medical. No, they are for the medicine. They're famous.
They
But
I think Melbourne's more famous. Sorry, guys.
in medicine, no, Monash
No.
is.
Oh,
Not
okay.
in research.
Yeah. So
This one said medicine. This one
Melbourne,
said research.
Melbourne is
I don't know.
medical
no,
research.
medical
Medical
research.
research.
Oh,
famous.
combined
What I'm
Okay,
talking about
yeah.
is medical research.
Back off.
The gloves of the Monash alumni have come out.
Back off. Where'd you study?
RMIT.
Yeah, there.
What's RMIT is good.
Yeah. Keep telling us it's okay.
No, the RMIT I think is good for design and drawing and.
That's what I did. Yeah. So.
Teaching degree.
Yeah, there were a lot of teachers.
Bro, be careful where you go with this.
RMIT aerospace and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Aerospace engineering.
Yeah, but when the aerospace engineer gets sick, where does he go? He comes crawling and begs at the door of Monet.
And when the doctor wants to go to Mars, where does he go?
Yeah, they're too smart to go there. But anyway, point being, where were we? So what I'm saying is like, all right, there's some guy who's invented a new technique for heart surgery or cancer treatment or whatever. We don't know that. So it cannot apply that rule because he's not like rock star famous like Elon Musk.
I don't think it's
Elon
right.
Musk
He's looking at rock star famous. He's looking at the fact that this guy's an alim. And
yeah, but I think
and that badge when you say look an alim or a
there
mufti,
needs to be some sort of association to their
the badges. Okay,
yeah, so those guys. This is understand those ulama who sit on the boards of Islamic institutions, finance institutions, banks in the Middle East and so forth. If you look at the board, the Sharia boards, you look at each person's study. They've generally come out of university. They've done PhDs, obviously in university.
Yeah.
If you see the specializations in finance, then it's impossible because those products are not developed for 400 years ago, 200 years ago. That's why studying the fiqh of like finance or Islamic finance in classical books is very hard because you're studying transactions that happened 400 years ago, how people dealt, like a simple thing. In the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, people used to say, like, I offer, and so they had to verbalize, I've accepted, right? That was
an exchange. You have to verbally.
Yeah, but you have to verbalize it. Now, today, we can go to a checkout, have our headphones on, ignore the checkout chick, and put our stuff through, and she might not even talk to us unless she might be tired or he might be tired, and we wave the thing. It's understood. There's all this communication happening.
Yeah, but it's not
verbal communication.
It's non-verbal, and the total comes up on the thing, and we take our card out, and she might say, "Do you want a receipt or something?"
My number.
Whatever. It's a bloke. It's
whatever. A bloke say you want my number.
whatever. I don't want to be binary, but they said, so they wave. So all these things are happening, but. Classically, they used to say, or like the Romans when they did, like part of studying Islamic finance or Islamic transactions, we study about the Romans. Like for example, when they wanted to sell a house, so if you want to sell a good, you have to bring the good and put it in the transaction. So you cannot deal with it. You cannot like trade.
Yeah, how do you sell a house?
They used to take a handful. There's actually a rule for it in Roman law. They used to take a handful of soil and bring it from the house as part of the agreement, like as a proof.
Yeah, or
something. It was their way of like securing. It was
like a receipt, kind of.
Yeah, it was sort of like just because I'm committed to this transaction. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to it. So the modern Islamic finance, as we understand it, like there's we've got various companies in Melbourne and other places who are under the name of Islamic finance, and and throughout the world, and Islamic banks and. Those institutions, the products they created, they're not classical products because they're living the modern world.
Yeah.
Right? Therefore, the people who develop them they have to, it's a hybrid product. It's contemporary contemporary transaction finance economics at work, but with Islamic principles. So you'll see that in Malaysia, for example, like the Reserve Bank, right down to the Reserve Bank of the country, they have a split. Like half the economy is like Islamic, and half is like to do with the conventional banking system. Yeah, that's what Mufti Taqi Usman is asked: is there any country that's the system is like economic system?
So every Islamic finance alim or mufti needs to understand the Western system.
You can't really call it Western, the modern system.
Or the modern system. Have an understanding
of the modern system. Of course. You can't. It's not a theoretical.
It's not just a fiqh.
You're not studying theory. You're studying but even fiqh is not studying. That's part of fiqh. You're not studying theory. You're studying the real world transactions. As I gave the example of the checkout. That's a real world case that we do every second, third day.
Yeah.
So, but there is Islamic principles there at work.
What about Amazon?
You know, so it's even with Amazon as well, online shopping. Online shopping. So they offer the price to you. You press the accept. You know, so there is that's a basics of a contract, an agreement. You know, also like drop shipping. There's like even I was discussing with Mufti about drop shipping, the permissibility.
That's also another question mark.
Yeah, permissibility of that and impermissibility. There's all my fatwas against it, fatwas for it. Not fatwas for it, but fatwas mainly against it. And then there's fatwas. and then there was a fatwa. Then one of the muftis I was discussing this with, he said, well, the reason why you're not allowed to resell things that you don't own, or, you know, like, you know,
because you don't actually own it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's why, like that's what is Islam? What does Islam teaches us to avoid conflict? So the rules of Islamic finance or Islamic buying and selling is to avoid any possible conflict in society. Yeah. So if you don't own the thing, if I promise you I'm going to sell you fish, but I haven't caught any fish, the fish are in the sea, right? And I don't catch them, and we make an agreement and everything, and you have an expectation now. Of course you're going to get upset because I'm not delivering the goods. But I'm going to catch these birds in the air. So these are the examples given in classic fiqh. That principle is applicable to drop shipping, but you have to understand drop shipping well and so forth. Now the problem, the issue is the ulama have looked at it. I'm not saying this is not a fatwa, so just a discussion. So
that's a very
is drop shipping. You are selling things that you don't own. You sort of an agreement, and I've looked at agreement, and you don't own the thing.
The money that is used to buy that thing is not.
But to avoid the conflict, in the modern world, there are protections in there for the consumer.
Yeah.
Right? Those protections sort of change the whole dynamic, the whole scene.
Yeah, well, you can't in drop shipping, the purchase cannot be made unless obviously it's paid for, and then there's also protections for the person to receive the money if they don't receive not the money, so the product.
And I'm not saying it's halal, but it's like I was discussing with a mufti who's looking at it, and it's still looking at it. But, you know, as an example, he's looking at it from the perspective that there are protections that are there for the consumer, right? In the case of the fish in the sea and classically, there's no protection. There's no protection for the buyer, right? He might give the money, pay for it, and you don't deliver the goods. But laws are made specifically for these type of online trading or buying and selling. It's not a fatwa, but I'm saying the point being is that modern fuqaha, jurists today, who specialize in that field or subspecialize in it, of course they have to know the modern world, how it works. Like this is why Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan Shaybani, Imam Hanifa's student, he said there is no, this is not a small statement to make. There is no, the time that he lived, you're talking about an empire that is from Spain till the Central Asia. Hundreds of different communities, different languages, different ways of doing business and trade. He said there is no transaction in the Khilafah except I know the ins and outs of it. People are asleep. Muhammad ibn Hassan is awake at night because he has to prepare research and check. So they knew the ins and outs. Those were the contemporary masail trading. That's why Imam Shafi rahmatullahi, when he went to Egypt, he reviewed his whole mazhabi school over 4 years. Why? Because when you went to Egypt, a recent Islamic society, it wasn't an originally Arab society. The way they do business were different to Iraq. Their weights and measures were different. That's one of the problems with the weights and measures, the Islamic ones. When they went out of Arabia, they saw there wasn't a standardized weight and measure. The Iraqi sa', which is a measurement, like for example, I'm just making it up, but an Iraqi kilo was different to Egyptian kilo because they're using different stones and so forth. So they have to mention the country. Like we have the empirical system and the metric. So they had all these different things, but they were called sa' in each country. Right.
Oh, okay,
So they were based on stones or like a volume of containers and so forth. So an alim in that time would have to know the ins and outs of transactions in this country and that country, and those transactions didn't exist in Makkah and Medina in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similarly, they are the same principle is being applied today. Whatever's happening today, it's on the ground reality. We cannot say we're going to do business like it was 200 years ago, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago. The transaction as they are, but Islamic principles like they're guided 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 500 years ago, they'll guide the modern transactions.
What happens? Let's just say, it's cut clear. Like, okay, cryptocurrency, not halal. But then the world moves on to that point where it's now the currency. You know, what happens? Do they then have to retract their fatwa or release a new
fatwas
fatwa?
can be retracted.
Oh, okay.
Because they're giving principles, and the principles are so with specifically crypto. Well, let's leave the fiat currency issue out of it. But I like what Darum Zakaria did, if I remember correctly. They put two principles down. If the Reserve Bank of the jurisdiction,
Yeah.
because who prints the coin in Intamara? Who was printing the coins? The state.
The state, yeah.
So the state is in charge of the money of the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Even in the time of Rasulullah. Well, in the time of Rasulullah, the dinar and dirham were basically Roman coins that were being used.
Oh, okay.
That because they were like the dominant economy of the region.
How did we get them? How did the Muslim get them?
No, but the whole world traded. So dirham was something
Yeah,
the
it makes
Greeks
sense, yeah.
and this is
Their version of the US dollar.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
the
yeah.
drachma and like this is a historic like dinar and dirhams like so. If you see the money that was only later on, I think it was Umar radiallahu anhu or Abdul Malik bin Marwan or something like that, one of the khulafa. Then because it became an empire, like dominant in the region, then they started stamping money, their own money, the same weight, but in their own. So, of course, money is stamped by with the picture of the Khalifa on it. I was like shocked when I saw the picture of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
really?
Khalifa put his thing, and there's a guy holding the asa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was actually amazing that he put an image on it that early on in Islam. So, money, even gold and silver, was regulated by the state
Yeah.
and standardized by the state. I mean, it's amazing how much the state, like we have a disdain maybe for various reasons because of politicians, because we hate politicians.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world hates politicians.
Yeah, it's a
But I think you have to, but government is a ni'mah, right?
Yeah, it is.
And if you see like even the, the zira, which is the cubits length.
His dad
Right?
Andrew's
Which is the
a
what?
Niyama?
Zira, cubits, like a measurement, right?
Ah, yep, okay.
So if you see one of the Khalifa, I think Harun Rashid, he created the black zira, like it's 52 point something centimeters, like a standardized measurement.
Why-
There's
but why
no
is it-
meters
But why is it called black?
to separate it from the normal one. The good one. no. But no, that's not. But you know what I mean? Like, so they just differentiate it. I don't know why. Because black maybe was the color of the Abbasids.
Ah, okay.
That was their like
Oh, yeah.
like black suits, Matrix. So anyway, so that's their muftis wore black amamas,
subhanallah.
black.
Black trench
So when the
coats.
Chinese, I think it was the Chinese that described the Abbasids.
Yeah.
They called them the black ones or something like that because they always wore black clothes.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, so they had like black suits today. Like this is like
Yeah.
Did they have sunnies?
Huh? So anyway, they like measurements were standardized by the state. Currencies were standardized by the state. So printed by the
But
state.
the whole principle of crypto is to get rid of to decentralize, so the state doesn't control.
It's actually get rid of
the whole world
fiat
is
currency.
because of the evil
It
that's
won't
been
work.
done.
It won't work.
But it's already working.
No,
I don't
you're
understand.
saying it's working,
Yeah.
but
It's working and continuously, exponentially improving and getting better.
keep watching. You watch how the state will assert themselves in this matter.
You know what they'll do? They'll assert themselves and they'll try to copy it, and then it will fail.
Exactly.
It will fail what they've tried to make, and then it'll just take over. Because
I don't think so.
because these guys have been
It's
in
too
the game.
wild westish to succeed.
No, but the reason why it's wild west is because right now, like whenever you have, so if you look at all markets, right, whenever there's a new thing that's introduced into the market, it's always speculative. It's always crazy.
I wasn't. The reason I was mentioning all those things was to make a point. The 2 points that Darum Zakaria brought up, if I remember correctly, that one is that it's regulated by state. That's not a bad thing in itself, like by the Reserve Bank.
Oh,
It's
this is-
approved, and
this is what
Australia
makes
has
it halal.
approved. And this is one of the fatwas a few years ago,
Yeah.
before these fatwas. And I thought that's a very interesting concept because a state hand has to be in it, and you cannot trade in Australia in crypto.
Oh yeah, I mean if it's
you-
Bitcoin, you can.
You
Or
cannot
Ethereum.
trade in Australia. You can only trade because why? Because the Australian government's allowed it.
Yeah,
It's legal in Australia.
yeah.
It's not illegal.
Whereas in China you can't.
Yeah, so it's not illegal to trade in crypto in Australia. So that the first it fits that one. Second thing is what they said. It's an acceptable thaman. It becomes a actual currency which people trade. As I said to you, day to day, they actually trade. It becomes a means of exchange like a normal means of exchange. So those two things are they're very general.
Can I chuck a hypothetical at you?
Yes.
Okay. I want to buy a house off you, Malana.
Okay.
Yeah? But all I've got is diamonds. It's not common to exchange. Usually you want cash.
Go to a jeweler, get cash, give me cash.
Okay.
Would you do that?
I wouldn't buy diamonds of you. I don't know what diamonds are worth. I know what Australian dollars are
Let's
worth.
just say you know
I can buy a Rivian for $116,000.
Let's just say
Inshallah, that's what the guy put the estimate cost on.
Let's just say Let's just say I've given you a certificate from the diamond dealer.
I don't know nothing about diamond certificates.
I'm just okay. Look, in this
But I know when you show me the green notes, I know what they are.
It's a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical, right? And the hypothetical is that you know the value of it. You know the value of the diamonds. It's
secure, and I have a familiarity with it. That's different because I know the thing. But if I don't know, let's say I don't know it, then I just say, bring me cash, man. Like just do a electronic EFT to my bank account. Yeah. Why would I do this extra step to get money in my bank account anyway? I'm not going to be going to Safeway and buying with diamonds.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Rivian accepts diamonds. You see what I mean? You're back to square one again.
Yeah, but you could still change it. Back to whatever cash.
Why would I waste my time? Why don't I get you to do it? Why am I doing myself, going around and carrying diamonds in my pocket?
There's that I don't know, that incentive to maybe, it might increase in value. I don't know. It could be any number of reasons why you
see how the holes are coming in crypto as well with this thing. When it comes to the real world application of living life and take the benefits of it, you still have to resort to the main system. And that's maybe what they're saying is.
Well, right now they're saying.
Right now you have to. That's the reality.
If I was in Venezuela, I wouldn't have to. I mean, I could just be completely Bitcoin.
I guess you could. Yeah, you could. But we're talking about Australia, so it's not. There's a lot of grey. Put it that way. That's a lot of grey.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to ground it into Islamic principles. It's interesting. I think. Decentralization is not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not necessarily. It depends on why you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it to hide drug money, illegal money, then it's wrong.
But
if you're doing it to avoid taxes, it's wrong.
We know. When the number one thing that people say that's wrong with cryptocurrency and its issue is that you can do that with regular money. The means
it's not
there.
as easy, but.
No, but it's there. Like if I can actually argue the point that I would if you were going to be a criminal and do criminal activity, it would be more safer for you to use cash and laundry cash than it is to use Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, there's always a trail. There's always a trail because of the blockchain. The FBI have actually been using the blockchain to catch criminals.
Through exchanges?
Or you don't even need exchanges, just the blockchain ledger itself. It's there. It never changes. You can trace it all the way back to the wallet.
It's funny, like I was watching something about, what's his name? Pablo
Escobar?
Escobar, yeah. So when there's a house with $1 billion in it, and it was
like buried or something.
No, it was the money was rotting because they couldn't launder it fast enough.
Yeah.
It was anyway.
He had money like buried that was rotting. He had money that he like stored under the.
It's crazy the amount of
like he didn't have what's it called when you put the insulin? What's it called? Insulation. He didn't have insulation. His insulation was cash.
Subhanallah.
What do you do with all that?
Huh? Yeah, exactly. You buy a hippopotamus and buy a weird house. You see the hippopotamus he released?
Yeah, and then you get shot and you die, and that money doesn't help anyone.
They've bred like hundreds of them, like in Central America.
Really?
Which country was it? Panama or somewhere?
Because they're hippos.
There's hippos that he bought for his private zoo, and they've just been breeding for the last 30, 40 years. So they become there's hundreds of them now, and they can't get rid of them fast enough.
Subhanallah.
Because the perfect climate for them. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about crypto. Jacqui Lambie.
God, you gotta love that woman.
No, as Muslims, she's a problem for us. But the speech that she gave, and she ripped into Pauline Hanson. She doesn't
understand Islam.
Allah give you that. But it was
the thing with Jacqui.
It was an absolute ripper of a speech.
Mate,
it was so. It was 2,000% Australian. I couldn't take it. It was like over
Australian overload, huh?
Yeah.
Oh mate, all that needed to happen was waltzing Matilda playing in the background, and someone chucking a shrimp on a barbie.
It was so effective that how bitter she ripped One Nation.
And Pauline Hanson was just sitting there. She didn't know where to go.
She got out Australian,
Yeah.
out of right wing Australian.
She got outspoken.
Ruthless and good on her. And but
Yeah, she what a
that's
ripper.
that's what they need. That's what the unvaccinated, the anti-vax, sorry, the not unvaccinated, the anti-vaxxers. That's what they need to hear it like it is and give a reality check of what's actually going on. And her points were very logical.
Yeah, they were. That's the biggest thing.
But
But come from her.
One Nation, what they did was they gave out a private phone number. They put it online or somewhere. They spread out, so she's getting abuse and.
Oh, but she did that herself though. She put it up on her Facebook, and then they just took it from the Facebook. So
Yeah, and they just because she was so effective, she dismantled them so effectively that you can see the dislike. It was like it's a ridiculous amount of dislikes compared to the likes.
hey, speaking of dislikes, have you guys realized it's gone? Like you can't see.
I think it's an option, isn't it?
Nah, it's gone.
Yeah, Jawed, the one of the founders of YouTube,
I don't know.
the one that put the first video about the elephant.
Is that right? I
The
didn't.
first
know.
video's got 200 million views. It's this guy named Jawed. I don't know, he's Paki, Bangladesh, Indian. I don't know what he is, but he's Jawed. Like that's his account, and he put he said he's against the dislike counter going because he's one of the creators of YouTube.
Because you can't.
Oh, on YouTube, there's no dislike.
No, there is a dislike, but you can't see the count.
Yeah.
So no matter
Oh,
how many
I
times
didn't know
people
I
press
saw
the
it the
dislike
other
button.
day, but I think it's an option maybe or something. I can't remember. I have to check.
Nah, unless you have an extension, like is it called an extension? Yeah, an extension on your browser, you won't be able to see it. So if you use your mobile right now, there is no option.
It's basically for all these woke, thin-skinned,
ruin it for everybody.
Fill in the gap,
It's
you
the
know.
main store. Yeah.
yeah, it is just they cannot take a dislike,
Like it's a dislike. How fragile can you be, subhanAllah?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It's a button online. Yeah. We've had a few dislikes. Let's not go through that pain again.
I'm at the stage now with the world and where just how crazy everything is. I just sit back and laugh now. I'm just observing.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
It's just observe and have a laugh and go, all right, that's something else that's crazy that's going on. But Jacqui touched my heart. Like the way she ripped it, and she had whoever wrote that for her was very intelligent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no way she wrote that.
It was amazing. But the passion behind it,
Yeah.
that's the thing. You can see for all her misunderstandings of Islam, Jacqui Lambie is a politician you can say that genuinely cares about Australia. Out of all of the politicians, I can't think of any other politician where you can say
ScoMo.
Hawaii came up.
Yeah, Hawaii came up. I went to Hawaii. Right, out of all of the
Came up this
politicians,
weekend.
she wears a hat on her sleeve,
Yeah.
and you can see she genuinely cares about Australia, especially Tasmania.
Yeah.
It's not an act. You can't fake that.
Yeah.
So my respect level for her went up after this.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like Muslims, yeah?
And she doesn't understand what's going on. That's the problem.
Yeah.
She doesn't like Muslims.
She's so Australian that.
But she's cliched Australian.
Huh?
She's cliched Australian because what is Australian? Australian isn't white bogan.
Yeah.
Australia now, 30 million people. We've got, it's everything.
Yeah.
So this is the old school cliched Australian that we're talking about. But again, that within itself breeds certain types of understandings.
Yeah.
And also expectations that I'm an Aussie. This is how I got it.
People should listen to the speech. If you're an anti-vaxxer or you have those sort of inclinations, you should literally listen to it, because
She's not telling people you have to get vaccinated.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of that speech.
She goes this thing of freedom, nonsense about freedom. He goes, I am supporting your voice to assemble, to express your views,
to not get the
but
vaccine.
the idea that there is no regulation and there's no laws. Speeding laws are there for a reason. It's there for the benefit. If you don't obey the speed laws, they're there to protect the community. Seatbelt laws are there. You try driving with a speed limit, police see you. Where's your freedom then? Because there's an understanding that has been developed over decades, maybe longer, that there's a common good for everybody that protect the whole community. So whether you think you're a good driver or not, whether you think you can drive fast or not, and it doesn't matter if you're a Formula One driver or you just got your P's, it's the same rules apply to everybody. So tough luck, but you got your choice. You got your choice not to get vaccinated. We're not forcing you, but we're going to be protecting the rest of the community that wants to be vaccinated. Yeah, but I hate how liberals they're gearing themselves for next election. They want that extra edge.
Frustrating.
And the game that they play, and that's what Dan Andrews.
But it's not just the liberals though. That's all politicians.
No, but like specifically in this thing, that the specific
double speak
that they do, like
I'm glad he got called out on it.
dog whistling, and Dan Andrews ripped into ScoMo, that like he says things for that extreme right wing.
Yeah. Like
they use words of freedom, whatever, but actually they are, they're talking is basically to get them on side for the next election. But to do it in this fashion, you can argue your policies and so forth, but you're doing it like the frustration of the protesters, this and that. There's some nutters, and people got arrested. Like they got arrested. I think we mentioned this last time. They got arrested. They were told, like if you don't go to Parliament House and
with a noose
and give death threats to the Premier of the state and expect they were arrested that day. Alhamdulillah, like good, like if you're going to be threatening people to kill them, that's see you later. So, but anyway, Australian politics is, but it's still so much better than America. We see that Kyle Rittenhouse thing, like
she killed like 3 people.
Look, it said at the end of it was in self-defense because they opened. Apparently, the video shows that they pulled out their guns first.
Yeah, they chased him. But
the problem is. But the idea that he can go there
with a AR-16 rifle,
why not? It's his right though. You can't do that in America.
But that's listen, the point. You created a situation where even if you come with a gun like that, those guys pulling their guns. So who's doing self-defense? Who's not? Yeah,
but like if you just got a gun hanging on your back versus someone takes a gun and points at you.
That's why Australia is so good
difference.
That we don't have that.
Yes.
No, that's why
I agree.
Like the idea that you can carry a assault rifle.
Yeah, that's
into a crowd.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
That is nuts. Like
that's because we're in Australia. So for us, that concept is nuts.
Yeah, because Australians they got brains. They made laws 30 years ago. When one guy went nuts in Tasmania, Port Arthur.
Killed a
one
bunch
guy.
of kids.
35 people, whatever he killed.
That's where you got to take hats off to John Howard.
Howard, the Liberal is
1996.
Gun buyback.
Yeah.
And just went through the country and fixed everybody up. Since then,
there were protests at that time as well for this.
And there wasn't a mess. New Zealand, I think they had something
same thing.
after the Christchurch thing. They making the same laws. They don't have the laws like Australia. So we learned our lesson, and we moved on. America is just like there's deaths every day.
It's crazy.
Did you see that car? That guy that went through the parade.
I didn't watch it. I saw
he killed 5 people just in the car.
I saw the news feed for it, and there was a video of it, and I was like, why are people watching this?
Yeah, he's a mental.
It's crazy.
Is he crazy? Is he like mental, or is he?
He was crying in court. He had dreadlocks. I don't know if that's a mental thing.
Oh, bro.
But he had dreadlocks and...
that's got nothing to do with it.
I don't know. He had dreadlocks. But I don't know if that's got... I mean,
it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Huh?
So what? People with dreadlocks all got problems.
No, I'm just giving you a profiling. But anyway.
So many people
but he was 17. I think he's juvenile as well, if I'm correct. He's 17.
But he came into another state as well.
Yeah.
Another jurisdiction. The fact that, if he wasn't white, he wouldn't have gone away with it.
And the judge was like, did you see that?
Mate, the judge was on his side.
The prosecution was really bad. Number one. That was like his best defense because the way they were behaving. They stuffed it up. That's one thing. There's no appeal after this. Basically, he's free.
Yeah.
He's already got threats at his home and whatever. So his life is hell. I don't think he's going to be...
it's not the same. He's not going to go back to normal anytime soon. Yeah.
But people losing their minds online and stuff like that.
Do you know what's really bothering me about this?
If this was an African-American guy that did this, do you think the same outcome would have happened?
100%. No. Sorry, 100% no.
He would have been shot
in the same state. No, in the
same... He would have been shot on the day.
In the same state, there's an African-American woman. She killed her rapist.
Yeah,
right?
that girl.
And she got what do you call it when you charge it? Not charged, when you convicted, and now is an appeal. Like that's how.
Like she didn't kill.
People
are
saying
innocent,
the system is not
someone who actually like.
Yeah. So
what happened to self-defense there? Make sure, alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
we live in Australia, man.
And the judge also, did you hear the ringtone that he had?
No.
What was his ringtone?
It's the music from the Trump's rally.
No. No.
It came in the middle of the
The
thing.
phone
It
rang?
went off. Yeah, yeah. He's totally not biased and not totally. Yeah.
You know what really bothered me about this case? Have you guys at the same time that was going on, what's her name?
Maxwell.
Ghislaine
Maxwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her trial is going on. Meanwhile, this guy's trial is like televised and live streamed across the world. And all you get of hers, I had to dig and
see,
dig.
this
And
one-
it was just a little sketch. That's it.
This one is because of the cultural war that's happening between the woke and the right and the left.
Yeah, that's
No, but the other one
I-
also
I
get the
plays
negative.
into. There's a lot of connected people in that.
Yeah, that's
A lot of connected.
That's a lot more
Yeah.
important. Than,
Jeffrey Epstein committed
this guy.
suicide.
Yeah, like you see all the pictures coming out, all hanging out together.
Yeah.
Prince Andrew,
There's
Epstein,
lot.
the Pope. Like, do you
Yeah,
see
the
that one?
Pope, yeah,
Blessing them,
No.
blessing. What's her name? Maxwell and
No
yeah.
way.
and her father.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Mossad thing, and he had like
Asian.
they inherited like a whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's pretty disgusting. I was listening to yesterday something about that island where they had like a altar and they worship sun god, something to do with sun god, some ridiculous something. I mean, it's just like you can't even. it's just nuts.
Yeah.
Like how disgusting. Like
What is going on with human beings, man? Is Dajjal like?
money's not enough. The normal things that people take pleasure from is not enough.
Yeah.
No, but
They
what
gotta
I'm
go
saying
into the
is
extremes.
Dajjal around the corner.
I don't know. Like
Why not?
I don't know.
Did he
Like
call you?
have you?
Did he say I'm coming around for dinner?
No, I don't know. It could be. We don't know when he's coming. So
Get
Allah knows.
the
Like whether the jail is coming or not, human beings are responsible for their own actions. So if you believe it's for you, you are the one that's responsible for your belief, and if you disbelieve, you're responsible for that. If you do good acts, you're responsible. You'll be rewarded for your good acts. You'll be punished for your sins.
Yeah.
So when the jail comes, he basically give an offer to do kufr and sin, and the conclusion is the same. So if you do the good, you don't obey him, you don't follow him, you're not expected to believe in something else when he comes. So you're supposed to, as a hadith mentions, when he comes, we're supposed to go the other way. We're not supposed to be, and if we get caught by him, it's going to be, Allah protect us. It's not something we won't even imagine.
Yeah.
So his torturing, his zulm, whatever he's going to do to people. So, but when that is, we don't know. The preparation is always the same. Iman and amal. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
And tests, like this week, something really sad, just to change the, we'll finish with this, inshallah, make dua for them. At least we make dua now. That family, I think Sudanese family, that their kids died in the fire in the western suburbs,
Allah
I think.
subhanahu wa ta'ala helped them.
Yeah, what a difficult test. This is tests like a constant, they're a constant part of life. So this is something that has, of course, deeply shocked even the imams and ulama and so forth, because it's to see 4 children that passed away in a fire, and then I saw the news article and the mother saying, "I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good mother," and what a hard thing to lose 4 of your kids in 1 week. That's a test, acid test of your iman and of your deen. And so we make dua, Allah give them strength, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reunite them in the akhirah and goodness. And challenges like tests are ongoing, hardships are ongoing, and the best we can do is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. Successful. Insan is in loss, except for those of iman and amal. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. They enjoying the good things, haqq, akhirah, jannah. They enjoy the truth and deen, amal. وَتَوَاصَوْا is enjoying each other with patience, sabr. And I know it maybe for some people think that it's a cliche to make sabr. No, that's the only thing we've got.
Yeah.
So to also with sabr means enjoy and tell each other to be patient. You'll be rewarded by Allah. So those calamities and tests, they do come, and they'll keep coming. That's the whole point of this world.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this world is that we're tested. We challenge with temptations, but also with hardships as well. Things are taken away from us, sickness, different things. We ask Allah for afiyah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make their heart firm, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make. It's not going to be easy. It'll take time, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heal them, and inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala reunite them in goodness and in the akhirah, inshallah.
Ameen.
Ya Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, on a somber note, I think we call it a night, inshallah.
But yes, we do need to make dua. So
Yeah, and everybody remember them in your personal du'as. And I mean, I don't know them personally, but it was probably, most shocking news this week and in the last month, actually, maybe for a very long time. All these other things become very trivial and insignificant when someone we hear about now in community Melbourne that goes through such a hardship. Then all the other things become unnecessary and superficial compared to such a great loss. Allah make it easy for them, inshallah.
Ameen.
Inshallah, hopefully we close off with that, inshallah. And
thank you for watching. Remember everybody in your duas, and inshallah everybody has a good week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.